Hello everybody, welcome back to EduTap. I hope you guys are doing absolutely good. In this particular video, we are going to solve multiple previous year questions of phase 2 of paper 2, and we are going to target 2 years 2022 and 2024. Now if you know, in SEBI Grade A Phase 2 paper 2 of the year 2022 there were 50 questions, and then the paper pattern changed, and now if you see the updated paper pattern is what, that you will get 100 questions in phase 2 paper 2, which was seen in the year 2024 as well, right? And in the current year also of 2025 we will be having 100 questions in phase 2 paper 2. So in the same video, like once the video will start, you will get access to 150 previous year questions, which will help you to increase your confidence. At the same time, you can see that what level of questions are asked in the real exam. Okay, so let's start this particular video. Before I move ahead, my friends, I would just like to tell you that EduTap is currently offering you 2 big courses which will help you to practice multiple MCQs. The first one is test series. This test series course has multiple MCQs to practice chapter wise, and you will also get solved previous year questions chapter wise for all the subjects of paper 2. At the same time, you will also get your full length mocks of paper 1 and for paper 2 also of your phase 2, and all the mocks of paper 1 will be evaluated, right? And if you want to practice more, like once you have finished the test series, then you can go towards our another course which will give access to you for 4000 plus MCQs. So first priority should be to solve test series. First solve test series, and once your test series is done, then you can go for 4000 plus more MCQs. Remember, the MCQs in both these courses are different. In the second course, which is exclusive 4000 MCQs, you will again get mocks, and you will also get multiple good stuff in this particular course. Right, now let's start this video. Recorded versions will play, so you can just see the section and keep solving the multiple questions. That's it. Now let's start the video. Today in this video we are going to solve the previous year questions of the year 2024, and all of these questions are related to phase 2 of paper 2 of SEBI Grade A 2024. Let's solve the finance question first. Right, now question number 1 is from rule of 72. The rule of 72 is a financial principle used to estimate the time it takes for an investment to achieve certain growth target. Which of the following growth target does the rule of 72 helps to estimate? Now we, in the first chapter itself, which is like basics of money, basics of time value of money, we study about 3 rules: rule of 72, rule of 114 and rule of 144, right? So the question is regarding rule of 72. Rule of 72 basically tells you that how much time it will take to double your investment. Rule of 114 basically tells you how much time it will take to triple your investment, and rule of 144 basically tells you how much time it will take to quadruple, like to make your investment 4 times. Now just check the answers. The correct answer will be option number C, because double the investment value will be the correct answer in the question number 1. According to me, this is very easy, and if you are going wrong in these questions, then you have to ask yourself that what the effort is needed to make sure that you are on the right path. Question number 2. When the investor takes advantage of the price differences in the separate market by simultaneously buying and selling, simultaneous buying and selling, which financial strategy is being employed? Now in the chapter of derivatives, I hope you remember, and this is as per the course of EduTap, like what we have taught, right? So in the chapter of derivative, we tell you about the 3 parties which are present in the stock markets. So you have hedgers, then you have arbitrageurs, and then you also have the people who are speculators. Hedger always tries to play safe, right? Arbitrageur is that particular person who will buy in one market and sell in another market. Simultaneous buying and selling, right? You buy at National Stock Exchange, you go and sell those particular stocks at Bombay Stock Exchange. Speculator is the person who will take the maximum amount of risk. He will try to chase profit. Now the question clearly says that you are simultaneously buying and selling the asset. Therefore the correct answer will be option number C, which is arbitrage or arbitrageurs. Right, speculating, hedgers, short selling and market timing, these are not correct. Now according to me, again, this is a very easy concept based question. I hope you would have also got it correct. Question number 3, my friends. Under SEBI issue of capital and disclosure requirements regulation, what is the maximum amount that an individual retail investors can apply for an initial public offering? The question is clear, straightforward. Under SEBI regulations, what is the maximum amount an individual who is a retail investor can apply for IPO? Now we all know the answer will be 2 lakh. Now this is what a factual question is. Now if you know the answer, then only you can mark it. And this is also covered in EduTap course under the chapter of equity markets. Now those who have studied equity markets from a great teacher whose name is Jalaj, then definitely this answer will be very, very easy for all of you. Just kidding, right? So for question number 3, the correct answer will be option number D. Again, this question is also very easy. So I didn't find any tough question till now. Next, question number 4. Under Depositories Act of 1996, what process shares undergo to be held in an electronic format? So now you have to tell me, under Depositories Act of 1996, what process must the shares undergo to be held in an electronic format? The correct answer will be dematerialization. Right, because you convert your physical shares into electronic form. Therefore, the correct answer for question number 4 will be option number E. According to me, again, this is very, very easy. If you are a serious student, then you should not go wrong in these questions, right? Because these are like lollipops which you have to grab. Next, the Bank of International Settlement primarily serves which of the following entities? Commercial banks, central banks, investment banks, international financial institutions, or insurance companies. The correct answer will be option number B, central banks. You would have heard about Basel norms, right? In Basel norms, what happens? All the central banks go at BIS, which is Bank of International Settlements, and they debate that what should be the correct capital adequacy number and all that stuff, right? This is also very, very direct question. I will put it under moderate category because many few people know about BIS, right? In the comment section of this particular video, do let me know where is the headquarter of Bank of International Settlements, right? Do let me know the answer in the comment box. Question number 6. The Finance Commission of India assigned 12.5% weightage to which of the following criteria for determining the devolution of funds to states? Now we all know that 16th Finance Commission is about to start, but the question is related to simple number 12.5% weightage to which of the following criteria this particular weightage has been given? Population, income distance, area, demographic dividends, or demographic performance, or forest cover. See, for income distance, the weightage is 45 if I'm not wrong, right? So income cannot be your answer. The correct answer will be demographic dividends, because for demographic dividends, the weightage is 12.5%, right? Likewise, there are multiple, I would say, different weightage, right? And this is where your I would say revision comes into the picture. If I'm not wrong, for forest cover it's 10%, right? For tax it's 2.5% if I'm not wrong, right? This is all factual, and I will not rate this question as moderate. This is easy again because they have asked question directly from the syllabus topics. So be ready for 16th Finance Commission also, FRBM also, and whatnot, because these are directly given in your syllabus. Next question, question number 7. Question number 7 says, according to FRBM Act 2003, what is the target limit for central government borrowings as a percentage of GDP by the year 2025? Again, a factual question. The correct answer will be option number D, which is 40%. Right? Because as per FRBM Act, central government cannot exceed this particular borrowing limit by the year 2025. Cool. So be ready for some factual question in 2000, like in the upcoming phase 2, which is scheduled on 21st of Feb. You can definitely expect some questions from Finance Commission, from FRBM, from GST and whatnot. So be ready for those. Try to cover the reports which are given in your, I would say, course also. Question number 8. In the latest union budget, what is the standard deduction allowed for the salaried individual? So this is a very, very important development which took place last year. By last I mean 2024, right? Not 2025. The correct answer will be 75,000 because this was increased from 50,000 to 75,000. Now we have to wait for this year budget, which is scheduled on 1st Feb, right? So do cover the budget and economic survey. Like basic highlights you should be able to understand because there can be a direct question on it. Which tax, often criticized by startups for hindering their growth, was removed in the recent union budget? So again, you can see union budget pe straight away question they are asking you. The correct answer. Now see, this is not relevant for this year actually, because these are the updates of last year. 2024, right? The correct answer will be angel tax. Angel tax was removed in the budget of the last year. Which of the following investment vehicle is considered as a passive investment? Why passive? Because you just give the money and then you just forget your money. The money will either increase or decrease. It's like not active, right? So you have to identify which of the following is a passive investment: actively managed funds, index, hedge, private equity funds, or venture capital. The correct answer will be index funds, because if you invest your money in an index fund, then definitely you are just putting a money in an index like Nifty 50, Sensex, Nifty Next, and whatnot. And the performance of the index will give you the returns. If Nifty is increasing, then your returns will also increase. Otherwise, you don't have any other option that you can allocate the money according to you, which you can do in multiple other investment vehicles, but this option is not available in index. Therefore, the correct answer for question number 10 will be option number B. This I will take it as moderate because very less students know about it. So till now, if you see till question number 10, all the finance question looks doable. They are not that much tough. Moving to question number 11. Which of the following financial instrument is not transferable? By transferable, we mean that you can change the ownership of that particular financial instrument. Government bonds, yes, you can sell government bonds on NDS OM, right? Negotiated dealing system, order matching. Bank FD, no, this is not transferable. Therefore, my answer will be option number B. Mutual funds, again I can sell. Shares of listed company, again I can sell. Debentures also I can sell. But FD, there is no market for FD. Therefore, the correct answer for question number 11 will be option number B. Now, coming to RBI notifications. As per RBI guidelines, how many working days should a key fact statement specify as the minimum validity period for a loan within a tenure of 7 days or more? Now, clearly this question is based on the RBI notifications of the last year. This is not relevant right now, but I will advise you to cover at least RBI notifications of, let's say, 3 to 4 months prior to your exam, because RBI is the banking regulator, monetary authority, so certain questions can be asked in finance CA. The correct answer over here will be option number D, 3 working days. Now, there is no logic to explain this because this is not recent one. This is like of last year. Under RBI incentive scheme for business correspondents operating in hilly areas, what is the additional incentive provided to the top 2 performing BCs as per village? Now, this question directly relates to your financial inclusion chapter, right? So do cover the recently updated national strategy for financial inclusion, right? But the question is specifically asking you, under the RBI incentive scheme of business correspondent operating in the hilly areas, what is the monthly incentive provided to the top 2 performing BCs per village? The correct answer was option number A. Now, is this relevant for this year? No. This is not the question which you should do right now. Rather, you should solve the static based questions. But just I wanted to tell you that you should cover RBI notification of at least past 3 months on priority, because there can be a direct question. Now again, one more question based on this. Upon receiving credit advice on the statement of Nostro account in compliance with the FEMA guidelines, within how many working days must the bank transfer funds to credit exporter accounts? Options were given 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5. The correct answer will be option number 2. Again, based on RBI notification, factual question. So again, the same learning, we do not have to focus right now, but you have to cover the RBI notifications. This is what the major learning will be. Who manages, question number 15. Who manages fund of fund for startups establishes under AIF, Alternative Investment Fund, framework regulated by SEBI to support startups in India? Who manages fund of fund for startups established under AIF framework regulated by SEBI? Now, fund of funds for startup is also categorized as MSME only, right? And all the MSMEs comes under the regulation of SEBI. So your answer will be option number B, right? Moving forward, what is the term used for investment made by the Indian company which is owned or controlled by foreign investors into another Indian company? So what is the term used for an investment made by the Indian company which is owned and controlled by foreign investors into other Indian company? Now see, there are two type of investments in the upstream and downstream, right? The correct answer over here will be option number C. Now this is the tough question based on the concepts because many people don't know about upstream and downstream, right? Upstream and downstream is basically related to FDI and FPI, foreign direct investment and foreign institutional investments. Cool. Now even if you don't know, it's okay, because what happens is, if you see the finance questions which we have solved, some questions will be directly based on statics, some can be tough also, and some can be based on current also. So current ke liye you have to do at least 3 months of current affair of RBI news, some related to SEBI news as well, right? But for question number 16, if you don't know, don't worry, right? But this upstream and downstream investment is basically related to your FDI investments, right? And if you want to know more, do let me know. I will share the knowledge about upstream and downstream investment in the comment box. Right now, the objective is to solve the PYQs, right? Next question. What is the minimum face value prescribed by SEBI? What is the minimum face value prescribed by SEBI for non-convertible redeemable preference shares and for non-convertible debentures issued by Indian companies? Now this is based on again SEBI related news, SEBI notification, which can be asked in finance, so be ready for that. The correct answer, if I'm not wrong, will be option number C, which is 10,000, right? As a rise in underlying, question number 18 now. As a rise in underlying asset prices accompanied by an increase on open interest for a corresponding derivative generally indicates which of the following: short build-up, decrease in decrease in volatility, long build-up, increase in short positions, decrease in trading activity. The correct answer will be long build-up. Long build-up basically means that people are purchasing it so that they can execute it later on. And why I'm saying long build-up? Because your open interest is increasing. It means more and more contracts are yet to be expired. More and more contracts are currently active. So this is a kind of an investment strategy. Now, if you see, we have solved all the 18 questions till now, and I would say like out of these 18 questions, 12 were directly doable. 6 were like, if your current affair knowledge is good, if your finance knowledge is good, then you can do so. And remember, my friend, nobody is asking you to solve all the 100 questions on 100. Even if your score is 80 plus, 75 plus, that is a very wonderful score to have. Cool. So this completes our finance portion. Now we are moving to the management portion. Chaliye. Who propounded the theory Z in management? Now we all know the role of William Auchi. William Auchi came to give theory Z only. Therefore, the correct answer will be option number C. Right, correct answer will be option number C, because theory X and Y was given to you by Douglas MacGregor, right? But theory Z was given to you by William Auchi only. Confirmed. The answer will be option number C. Next question. What is the formula of motivational force according to Victor Vroom expectancy theory? Now Victor Vroom has given you 3 elements, right? Expectancy, instrumentality and valency. So motivational force is what? The product of it. Product of expectancy, instrumentality and valency. Therefore, the correct answer will be option number D, right? What is the key impact of high morale in the company? When you say company is having high morale, it basically means all the employees in the company are connected to the company in bad times also. Increase employee turnover? No, because if morale is high, people will stay in the company. Reduce cost, increase productivity, increase absenteeism, or is it related to decrease efficiency? Efficiency will increase, right? So it is also removed. The correct answer according to me should be increase productivity, because if morale is high, there can be 4 different cases with productivity. Either it can increase, decrease, or anything can happen. So the correct answer will be option number C, because morale has a direct impact on productivity. This we all know. Reduce cost is not making any sense. Increasing absenteeism is again not making any sense. So the correct answer looks for question number 3 of management is option number C. What is the communication network called where no subordinates talk to each other and all communication is directed through a leader? I am talking about question number 4. So what is the communication network called where no subordinates talk to each other and all communication is directed through a leader or a superior? This we called as wheel, right? So answer will be option number C. Now in wheel, what happens? You have a person who is acting as a center or acting as a center leader, and everybody is connected to him. So if A wants to talk to B, messages will first go to the leader and then the leader will pass it to B. Right? If D wants to talk to A, or if C wants to talk to B, everything will happen through leader. Therefore, my correct answer will be option number C. Right. Fifth one. When communication is effective in an organization, it will lead to what? If communication is effective means what? That everybody is able to have good mutual understanding. That will directly increase the coordination. Communication is effective means what? Mutual understanding is achieved. And if mutual understanding is achieved, people will be able to coordinate in the better manner. Improve decision making, yes, it can be. Decrease employees engagement, no. B cannot be right. Lower team morale, no. Eliminate. Increase in productivity, it can be. But if you see, you have to choose the most broader one over here, which is like coordination. Coordination is the essence of management. So if communication is effective, choose for that particular option, which is like more broader. Like if you increase the coordination, that includes like decision making will improve, productivity will increase. So coordination is the best answer to choose. Although this is debatable answer which I am telling you over here, but according to me the right one should be C only. Now let's move to question number 6. Leadership should be based on behavior, work and task, and no single leadership style is universally effective. Which theory explains this? Behavior, contingency, transformational trait, or great man theory? The correct answer will be contingency. Because contingency theory of leadership is based on this only, that there is no one best leadership style. You have to adapt to the situation and then definitely choose the leadership style which you are looking for. Simple. What is the concept that, question number 7 now, of management? What is the concept that refers to doing the right things a manager must focus on? Now again directly based on the concept of effectiveness. Effectiveness says what? That you have to do the right things. आपको सही काम करना है. But efficiency says what? That you have to do right things in the right manner. सही काम को सही तरीके से करना is efficiency. So the correct answer will be option number B, which is effectiveness for question number 7. Right? I hope you would have also got it correct. So till question number 7 of management, everything looks easy to me. Nothing confusing as for now because everything is coming directly from the concepts. Next, 8. What type of plan links tactical and strategic plans and focuses on day-to-day operations? Right? Tactical and strategic plans and focus on day-to-day. For day-to-day, the only plan is operational. So this becomes your keyword and your answer will become option number B. Your answer will become option number B. Why? Because operational plans are based on day-to-day operation only, and they will definitely link your tactical and strategic plans so that the implementation can be smooth. So my correct answer will be option number B. 9th, which of the following feature matches the concept of strategic planning? Strategic planning is long-term in nature, right? It is focusing on short-term, no. Eliminate. Concerned with day-to-day, no, this is operational. Forward-looking in nature, yes, it is. Reactive to unexpected changes, not making any sense. Geared toward immediate needs, no. The correct answer will be option number C, because strategic planning is done for long-term basis. It is forward-looking in nature, like where we have to take our company next coming 5 years or so, right? Question number 10. What is the type of a policy that is understood and followed in an organization but not formally documented or written down? So policies can be of multiple types, like formulated policy, appealed policy, implied policy, and whatnot. So see, which type of policy is understood and followed in the organization but it is not formally documented? Such certain type of policies which are not documented are known as implied. So for question number 10, the answer will be option number C. For example, if the boss of the company is coming always on formal, so you will understand that yes, this particular office follows the formal wear. You cannot come in like informal wear then. So the correct answer will be implied policy, which is option number C. It is also known as enacted based on observation kind of policy. Right? Question number 11. Which principle states that the amount of work increases but the effort remains the same? Amount of work increases but the effort remains the same. Good question. Unity of command, authority, responsibility, division of work, discipline, or centralization. The correct answer will be option number C, which is division of work. Division of work basically means that you divide the work among all the workers, right? But the amount of work will increase. Like if you divide, previously that person was not having any work, so now you are dividing the work equally, so that particular person will now have the work. But the effort will remain the same. Effort will remain the same means what? That I am dividing equally so that nobody has to do more work. Everybody has to do the work on par. So the correct answer will be option number C, which is division of work. Right? For question number 11, the correct answer is C. Identify the type of a decision where decision is difficult to make and outcome certainty is low. Outcome certainty is low means what? That you are not sure that what will happen. Right? So tell me which type of decision is this? Although we teach decision making in NAVAD, but they are asking question over here because decision making is related to planning, and planning is a function of management which is directly there in your syllabus. So now you have to identify a type of a decision where decision is difficult to make and outcome certainty is low. So judgmental decisions cannot be your right answers because judgmental decisions are like based on your judgments. Subjectivity comes. Mechanistic decisions are day to day. Right, day to day. For example, do I live tomorrow? The answer is obviously yes. I hope so. Right? Like these are day to day. For example, if sun will come out tomorrow, the answer is yes. Adaptive decision is the correct answer, but we will discuss about it later on. Analytical heuristics are not making any sense. Heuristic decisions are not even difficult. They are very easy to make. Analytical ke liye you need tools so that you can make the best decision. The correct will be adaptive. Adaptive is very difficult to make. It's a kind of a research which you have to do, and even after you do the research, you are not sure that whether you will get the desired result or not. Therefore, the correct answer will be option number C, adaptive decisions. Next, question number 13. When wastage in the management process decreases, it leads to what? So when the wastage in the management process is decreasing, what will it lead to? Increase in cost? No, right? Because if you are decreasing your waste, then how it will increase your cost? Right? Tell me, lower productivity? Again, no. Increase profitability? Yes. Now this is journal sense question. Even if you don't know nothing about management, still you can solve it. Question number 14. If you want to read other options, you can read, but they will again not make any big sense. Question number 14. What is the term used when the combined efforts of the team produce the result that is greater than the sum of the individual efforts? So over here you have combined efforts of the team, right? Collaboration, coordination, integration, synergy, or cooperation. Now this question looks tough because all the options are kind of more close to each other, but we are providing the correct answer as option number D, which is synergy. Synergy means what? That everybody is working, nobody is isolated, and this is one of the role of a manager also, or a role of a leader also. Although this is debatable, integration, cooperation, collaboration, and coordination can also be right, but the most correct one looks synergy. Right? Question number 15. What is the role of a leader who sets goal and inspire others to achieve it? What is the role of a leader who sets goal and inspire others to achieve it? Now, role of a leader who sets goal. Figurehead cannot be a right answer because figurehead is like you are becoming the face of the company. Leader can be the right answer because leader will encompass all the different roles. Licensing, motivator, or coordinator, no. The correct answer has to be option number B, which is leader. Question number 16. Which subsystem of HRD addresses the career path, future goals, plans, and development of an employee? Training and development, performance appraisal, career path management, compensation, and employee relations. Which subsystem of HRD addresses career path, future growth plans, and development of an employee? The correct answer will be career path management, because in this you will do all the stuff which is needed to develop a good career path. Question number 17. What are the effects when the company improve its customer relationship management, CRM? So if you improve your CRM, then definitely it is a good thing to do. Will it decrease your customer engagement? No, it won't. Lower sales conversion rate? No. Improve customer relationship? Yes. So the correct answer will be option number C. 18th. What does a higher employee turnover ratio indicates? If your employee turnover ratio basically is high, it basically means that people are leaving the company at a very higher frequency. A company is experiencing a greater rate of employee leaving relative to its overall workforce? Yes. Higher turnover basically means that employees are not staying in the company. They are moving out because they are not happy with the culture of the company. So therefore, the correct answer of this particular question will be option number A. Right? So till now, if you see the 18 questions of management, maximum of them are doable. By 18 में से I think 15 are directly traceable from your syllabus. three are kind of confusing, but still if you apply the logics, if you apply the elimination technique, you could have solved it. Right, so do let me know your score in the comment box, like how much you have scored in management out of 18 questions. Now let's move to the last component of our today's video, which is accounts. Which of the following is not a qualitative character of accounting information? Which of the following is not a qualitative character of accounting information? So we have reliability, but we don't have anything like conformity. So the correct answer will be option number B. Reliability means to make information which is error free. Relevance, it should be relevant to the current time period. Understandability basically means that information which you are supplying should be easy to understand. And consistency means to use the same information over and over again, or the principles over and over again throughout the time period. Conformity is not there, so my answer will be option number B. Which of the following statement defines going concerns? Going concern basically means that my business will continue for multiple years to come. I cannot say that I am doing business for 10 years, right? So you cannot make that statement. So an organization has no significant liabilities, not making any sense. An organization will continue. The organization will continue to operate its business through foreseeable future. Yes, this is the essence. So my correct answer will be option number B itself. Third question now. If an organization is being conservative while preparing the profit and loss account, come on, we can answer this question even without seeing the options. The correct answer will be principle of prudence, which we also call it as principle of conversation. So the correct answer for question number third will be option number A. Fourth one, the face value of a share is rupee 10. If 1 lakh shares are issued at a premium of 10%, what will be the amount transferred to the securities premium reserve? Calculate the premium. Face value is 10. 10% will be what? Rupee 1 only. You are issuing 1 lakh shares. So 1 lakh amount, rupee 1 on 1 lakh shares will be 1 lakh only. So the correct answer will be option number A for question number 4th. So till now all the questions of commerce and accounts are looking very easy, nothing tough. Fifth one, if 2 lakh rights shares of the face value 10 are being issued at a premium of 20%, what will be the correct journal entry for this transaction? So if 2 lakh rights shares of face value 10 are being issued at 20%, so your premium per share will be what? 20% of 10, which will be rupees 2. How many shares you are issuing? 2 lakh. So total premium collected will be what? 2 lakh into 2, which is 4 lakh. So this 4 lakh will be transferred to securities premium reserve, right? So I think option A is correct, because in option A you are transferring your 4 lakh to securities premium reserve. And yes, what is the total amount of money which you are collecting? 10 of face value, 2 of premium, 12, right? So 12 into 2 lakh will give you 24,000 in your bank account. Bank account debit. Why debit? Because an increase in asset is always debited. So bank account debit 24,000 to share capital, which is 20,000. Why we are debiting? Why we are crediting share capital? Because an increase in liability is always credited, right? So we are crediting share capital. So the correct answer looks option number A, 100%. Cool. So we have solved 5 questions now, all looking easy. Chaliye, now we are solving question number 6. Which of the following is the application of funds as per fund flow statement? Direct question, nothing to explain because this is direct from the fund flow statement. The correct answer will be increase in working capital. Option number B. Because in working capital increases, that definitely means that you have done some application. Application means what? You have used your funds. Okay. Question number 7. Aggregate cash flow arising from obtaining or losing control of subsidiaries or other business shall be presented separately and classified as what? An aggregate cash flow arising or obtaining or losing control of subsidiaries basically means my investment is done. So therefore I will categorize it as an investing activity, not operating, because this is not related to day-to-day operation. It is also not financing because it is not affecting my capital structure. Therefore the correct answer for question number 7 will be option number C, which is investing activity, because you have sold your investments. As simple as that. Question number 8. As per Ind AS 21, non-monetary items measured in the terms of historical cost in foreign currency shall be translated using exchange rate of what? At the end of reporting period, at the date of settlement, at the date of transaction, or at an average rate of period, and exchange on the balance sheet. Now this is like if you have studied AS 11, right? accounting for foreign exchange transaction, then you can answer it. The correct answer will be option number C, which is date of transaction. Because as per AS 11, you transfer non-monetary items, you measure them in the terms of historical cost at the date of transaction only. A factual question, I will not term this as moderate or tough. This is easy if you have the basic knowledge of AS 11, right, which is accounting for foreign exchange transactions. Ind AS 105 relates to what? Now this according to me is tough because Ind AS, many of the people don't cover Ind AS. At the same time, this Ind AS list is also very big to remember. Does it deal with revenue recognition, consolidated financial statements, non-current assets held for sale and discontinued operation, leases of fair values? The correct answer will be option number C. So if you don't know question number 9, it's okay because it's tough. But if you apply this elimination technique, then option C looks correct. Right? 10. Which Ind AS deals with cash flow? Ind AS पूछा है. So Ind AS cash flow is 7. Right, accounting standard is 3 for cash flow. So the correct answer will be option number D, Ind AS 7. Question number 11. What will be the impact on the bonus issue on the shareholders and on the entity? See, bonus issue, how it will impact shareholders and entity. Entity won't be impacted because the balance sheet will remain the same. Right, because in bonus issue you are not getting any money. At the same time, it will not impact shareholders also because their total number of shares, like the percentage of their holding, will remain the same. So there will be no impact on entity as well as on the shareholders as well. Cool. Those who know bonus issue, they can answer this question very correctly. Question number 12. The net working capital is 20 lakh and the sales of the company is 120 lakhs. Calculate working capital turnover ratio. Working capital turnover ratio is given as what? Sales divided by net working capital. Right? So sales is given to you as 120 divided by 20. Your answer will come at 6. So my correct answer is option number C, which is option number C, 6 times. Right? Question number 13. An increase in debt service coverage ratio. Increase in debt service coverage ratio indicates what? It is good thing only. Company is able to cover what? Its debt repayment, because debt service coverage ratio is what? EBIT divided by your interest plus principal payment, which you have to do, right? So if this is increasing, then definitely entity is able to cover its debt payment. So my answer will be option number C. 14th. What does come right represents? What does come right represents? Shareholders have no option to subscribe to the right shares. Shareholders will receive dividends along with the right shares. Shareholders have the option to subscribe to the right shares. Yes, the correct answer will be option number C. Come right basically means that you have the option to subscribe it. It's like included in that particular right. Right, 14th, the correct answer will be C. 15th, a low cash conversion cycle implies what? So if you are having a low cash conversion cycle, it basically means what? A company has high level of inventory. A company is experiencing cash flows problem. The company can convert capital into cash quickly. Or is it company has high level of accounts receivable? Or is it like company is heavily relying on short-term financing? The correct answer will be option number C, because when you have a low cash conversion cycle, you can convert capital into cash quickly. You can like purchase assets, you can do whatever you want to do. Right? So low cash conversion cycle basically means that company can convert invested capital into cash very quickly. Now this is a kind of a moderate question because this is based on application. 16th one. Which of the following term is used when data is unavailable for financial reports? When data is not available for financial reports, then how will you make the financial report? This is known as measurement uncertainty. Why? Because you don't know whether you have to measure that particular data or not. This is like very confusing questions. You have to read and then answer it. Last question, question number 17. A higher dividend yield ratio means what? Providing relatively larger returns to the shareholders, struggling to generate profit, reducing its overall dividend payments, facing deadline stock prices without paying dividends, limiting shareholders' return through lower dividend. The correct answer will be option number A, that you are paying relatively larger return through dividends to your shareholders. Right? So answer will be option number A for question number 17. So from 17 questions of commerce and accounts, I think 12 are directly doable, 5 were little bit confusing. So if you have knowledge about them, you can
not leave behind. So today we will discuss the previous year questions for the 2024 SEBI Grade A Phase 2 Paper 2 examination for the Costing, Companies Act and Economics component, so that you can understand that what kind of questions have come in the previous years from these components, as well as what topics you cannot leave behind. Now, first of all, we are starting with the economics component, and we will discuss the previous year question of the 2024 phase 2 paper 2 for the economics. Okay, so let's get started with the economics previous year questions for the 2024 phase 2 paper 2. Okay, so let's get started. First question is in front of you, that which of the following accurately describes the Say's law of market? So Say's law, I hope you know that the Say's law states that supply creates its own demand. Okay, so supply creates its own demand. That is the production of goods, that is the supply. It creates its own demand. So B option is the correct option. If you see the other options, demand creates its own supply. No, demand and supply both are considered determinants of growth. So the classical economist in from which the Say's also belong, like the John Baptist Say is also a classical economist. So he believed that supply is the most important determinant. Okay, so this is also not correct. Supply is created for the short run only. No. Demand creates the supply to reduce the prices. No. So only the B is the most appropriate answer. It is the correct answer. The supply creates its own demand. Okay. So B is the right answer. Now coming to the next question. Which of the following best describes the definition of national income? So national income, I hope you know that the national income, it is the total income that is generated by the normal residents of a country. So the national income is the total income that is generated by the residents of the country. Okay, so here directly, if you know about the national income, A is the answer. The total income earned by the residents of a country. B is not correct. The total value of all goods produced within a country's borders during a specific time. So this is about the domestic income. Which talks about the production in the domestic territory in the country's border. So the other options are also not correct. Only the A is the right answer. Okay. So national income refers to the total value of all income that is earned by the residents of a country. So A was the answer. Now coming to the next question, what is the effect of a negative supply shock on the Phillips curve? So I hope you know about the Phillips curve. It is a downward sloping curve which shows the inverse relationship between inflation rate and unemployment rate. So if the inflation rate is increasing, the unemployment rate is decreasing. So the Phillips curve shows the inverse relationship between inflation rate and unemployment rate. When the inflation rate is increasing, unemployment rate is decreasing. The negative supply shock that can happen because of the cost of production, because of the increasing cost of production, because of oil prices or wages that are increasing, the cost of production is increasing, and this negative supply shock leads to rightward shift in Phillips curve, in which it can be seen that with the increase in inflation rate, the unemployment rate is also increasing. So Phillips curve, with the negative supply shock, the Phillips curve shift to right, indicating that the higher inflation can come with the higher unemployment. Okay, so D is the answer. Remember that whenever there is unfavorable supply shock, that means aggregate supply is decreasing because of the rising cost of production. Okay, so there is unfavorable supply shock. The Phillips curve shifts rightward. That shows that with the increase in the inflation rate, the unemployment rate can also increase. Okay. Now, which of the following is the major determinant of the Keynes consumption function? So Keynes consumption function is the consumption is equal to autonomous consumption plus B YT. So consumption depends upon the disposable income. The A is what? A is autonomous consumption. That shows that even if the level of income is zero, still there is some consumption that is happening. So this consumption is independent of the level of income. What is B? B is marginal propensity to consume. It is MPC. Okay. So here A is the right answer because consumption depends upon disposable income. And the major determinant of consumption is disposable income as per Keynes. Now, coming to the next question, which of the following statements best define the trade deficit? So trade deficit is basically the deficit when we are receiving less than what we are paying. So that happens when we are paying more for the imports in comparison to the receipts for our exports. Okay, so trade deficit is basically directly when the imports are exceeding exports. So E is the right answer. Now, which of the following clearly defines the fiscal deficit? I hope you remember the formulas of the deficit, the revenue deficit, the fiscal deficit, the effective revenue deficit, and the primary deficit. So these are the important deficits for which the formula should be clear. And the fiscal deficit has the formula: the total expenditure minus the total receipts excluding borrowings. Okay, so this is the formula for fiscal deficit. Fiscal deficit shows the difference between the government total expenditure and the total receipts excluding the borrowing. Okay, so A is the right answer here, and I hope you know about the formula of the fiscal deficit and the revenue deficit. Revenue deficit is revenue expenditure minus the revenue receipts. Effective revenue deficit is revenue deficit minus the grants for the creation of capital asset. Primary deficit is fiscal deficit minus the interest liabilities, the interest payments. Okay. Now, which of the following is the main function of monetary policy? So, the main primary objective of monetary policy is price stability. Okay. So, this is the answer. Under the RBI Act of 1934, amended in 2016, RBI is entrusted with the responsibility of conducting the monetary policy in India with the primary objective of maintaining the price stability while keeping in mind the objective of growth. Now, which of the following is considered as automatic stabilizer in the fiscal policy? That means the deliberate action is not being taken automatically. There is a stabilizer force that is in the fiscal policy. So here the defense spending is deliberate, the infrastructure investment is deliberate, but the unemployment benefits, think about it. When there is a recessionary tendency that is coming, when there is a downturn that is coming, contraction is coming in the economy, demand is decreasing, production is decreasing. With low production, there is more unemployment. With more unemployed people, there will be more unemployed benefits that will be provided, or more people had to be provided with the unemployment benefits. So the government expenditure will automatically increase. So this is the automatic stabilizer. When the boom is coming, the demand is more, production is more. With more production, more employment is there, so unemployment is less. With less unemployment, less people are provided with the unemployment benefits, so the government expenditure will decrease automatically. So unemployment benefits are considered automatic in nature. They are automatic stabilizer in the fiscal policy. You can read more about the other options also. They are the other options like the defense spending, that is deliberate, infrastructure investment is deliberate and such. But the unemployment benefits, they are automatically affecting and stabilizing the economy and trying to stabilize the economy. Okay. Now, which of the following is an economic indicator of growth? So I hope you know that the real GDP is considered the better measure, or it is considered a good measure to to see the growth in the economy. So if the real GDP is increasing, that means the production is increasing in the economy. That means there is economic growth that is happening, because the real GDP, the formula is current production multiplied by the base year prices. So the real GDP, when the current production is increasing, then the real GDP will increase. That shows the growth in the country. Okay. So the real GDP is considered as a good measure of economic indicator of the economic growth. Okay. So real GDP is a good measure of economic growth in the country. So real GDP is the most used economic indicator of growth. It measures the total value of goods and services produced in an economy adjusted for inflation. So real GDP is seen through the current production multiplied by the base year prices. Okay. Now, which of the following institution provides financial assistance to the government of member countries? So here we are not talking about loans. Here we are not talking about grants or such. Here we are talking about financial assistance. And this term is directly related to the International Monetary Fund, because three main functions of IMF are the capacity development, financial assistance, and policy advice. Okay, so the IMF is the right answer. I hope you know the functions of the IMF and such, so you have to keep that in mind. So IMF fosters international financial stability by offering policy advice, financial assistance, and capacity development. So this term is directly related to the IMF. And yes, the World Bank also provides the loans, but that is for the reduction of poverty or for the development, and the financial assistance is a key term that is related with the IMF. Okay, so such kind of terms you have to keep in mind. And yes, I know that in the examination it will be very hard for you to keep all of this in mind, but try to find the best answer. And the financial assistance is majorly related to the IMF. It is a term that is directly connected with the IMF. Okay. Now, in monopolistic competition, product differentiation is done with the aim of, so there is product differentiation. We are able to differentiate Lux with Santoor from Dove, from Dettol, from Himalaya and such. So Lux is known for its fragrance, Dove for its smooth texture, the Dettol for its germ killing capacity and such. So product differentiation is done with the aim of creating the brand loyalty and the brand recognition. Okay, in the monopolistic competition, there are large number of buyers and sellers, and the product differentiation is done to create the brand awareness, to create the brand loyalty. Okay, it is not for consumer surplus or cost reduction, it is for brand loyalty. So here, the through advertisements there is brand recognition, brand loyalty that is created. Okay, and in the monopolistic competition, it is very important to have the brand recognition and loyalty. Now, which of the following causes the demand pull inflation? So the inflation, that is the prices are rapidly rising, they are rising in a sustained manner because of the increase in demand. Now, the aggregate demand or the aggregate expenditure, it is the combination of consumption, investment, government expenditure, and net exports. So, when the government expenditure is increasing, the demand is increasing, and with the increase in demand, the prices increase and the inflation rate can increase. Okay, so A is the best answer here. And remember that demand pull inflation, the prices increase because of the increase in demand. So this is the idea. Now, which of the following models considers economic growth depends on the availability of resources? Now, remember that this is the out of syllabus question. And such kind of questions, see, if you try to read all the models, so in international economics, that is a complete book by Dominic Salvatore. So you will have to go through all the models, the absolute advantage theory, the Ricardian theory. So there are so many of the models, as well as in growth and development, that is also a different subject of economics that we study in masters and such. So then again, you will have to go through hundreds of models. So that is not possible. So such kind of out of syllabus question, if they are coming, either use logic, and if the logic is not being used, that means there is the factual question, then you will have to leave this kind of out of syllabus question. Okay, so it was Herod-Domer model that emphasizes the availability of resources and the importance of the availability of resources for the growth. But such models, you cannot go through all the models, so do not put too much pressure on yourself. Just focus on your syllabus and try to complete the syllabus, because most of the questions that we are seeing, they are from the syllabus. Okay, one or two out of syllabus questions can come, but you should not be afraid about it. Leave it, or use your logic if they are being answered through the logic. Okay. Next, according to the Economic Survey of 2023-24, which of the following areas saw a sharp rise? So it was food inflation that was rapidly increasing at that time. Now remember that this question I have brought for you so that you can understand that Economic Survey and Union Budget, they are important. You should be going through the highlights of the Economic Survey and Union Budget. If not in depth, then at least do the highlights and such. Okay, because from the Economic Survey in the previous year, a question has been asked and such. Okay, now scarce factor is also known as, now by the term itself you can understand scarce or scarcity means that it is limited, the resources are limited in nature. So the limited availability of the resources, and they are important for production, because the scarce factors, the factors of production, they are limited in nature but they are important for production. They are also known as key factor, because you can understand that these are the important factors that are important for production. Okay, so this is more like a logical kind of question. Scarce factor refers to the resource that is limited in availability and critical to the production process. So key factor, it is also known as key factor because it plays a crucial role in determining the output. Coming to the last question for economics, when inflation rises, it implies, so when the prices are rising, when the inflation is rising, when the prices are rising in a sustained manner, so the value of money decreases, because with the same income, now we are able to purchase less of the products as the prices have increased. Okay, so with the same income, with the increased prices, we are able to purchase less products, so the value of money is decreasing. So this is it for economics part. We have discussed that, see, most of the questions, they were of direct nature, they were direct in nature, and if you have the basic understanding, if you have the basic clarity in the chapters, you will be able to answer the question. But as the pattern can change, and some question are also conceptual in nature, like the Phillips curve question, the rightward shift and such, it was more of a conceptual kind of question where the concept clarity is required. So I will I will request you that do go through the syllabus completely in a manner that you are able to answer the direct questions very easily. But if the conceptual question comes, so you should not be leaving them, because it is phase 2, every question counts, right? So you should be going through the syllabus in a more detailed manner, so that you are able to cover the conceptual questions also, you are able to answer the conceptual questions also. So now I will leave the session, and the next faculty is going to take over. So thank you, everyone.
So now let us move on to the next component, which is company law, and we are going to see SEBI Grade A 2024 Phase 2 questions with respect to company law, and I would strongly suggest you to pause the video while I'm reading the questions, and afterwards you can see whether you have marked the correct answer or not. So let us move on to question number 1. Which of the following are not eligible to be an independent director? So basically, when we talk about the independent director of a company, one of the important features is that basically they are required to have no material relationship, no material relationship with the company or the affiliates or the directors of the company. Why is it so? So that basically the independence of this independent director does not get compromised. So keeping that in mind, basically the managing director or the whole-time director or the nominee director, they are not eligible to be the independent director of the company, because managing director is the management executive of the company, whole-time director is involved in day-to-day affairs, day-to-day functions of the company, and nominee director, he is basically representing the interest of the stakeholder, which can be a bank or any kind of financial institution or can be the government. So basically they are not allowed to be eligible to be appointed as an independent director of the company. So basically D is going to be the correct answer to this question based on this rationale. Now let us move on to question number 2. NCLT is constituted by whom? Option A, state government. Option B, high court. Option C, Supreme Court. Option D, central government. Or option E, Ministry of Corporate Affairs. So basically if we talk about NCLT, as per company law, NCLT, we know it is constituted by the central government, right? Although I would say it functions under the administrative control of Ministry of Corporate Affairs, but the legal authority to constitute this NCLT, it rests with the central government, right? Not with the state government, not with the courts, not with specifically any other body. You have to remember central government only as a part of it. So basically D is going to be the correct answer to this question. Now moving on to question number 3. Which of the following methods is a public company not allowed to use to issue shares? So basically, as you can see, if you see the options over here, option A, rights issue, option B, bonus issue, option C, employee stock option, option D, tender issue, and option E, all of the above. So the correct answer to this question is going to be tender issue. Tender issue is not there for issuing shares. It is basically for the buyback, right? It is used for that purpose, not for issuing shares. So D is going to be the correct answer to this question. Now moving on to question number 4. What is the maximum time limit for preference shares as per Companies Act 2013? Option A, 10 years, B, 15, C, 20, D, 25, or E, 30 years. So the correct answer to this question as per company law, it is going to be the C option, that is 20 years. Because if we talk about the preference shares, right? So as per company law, all preference shares that are there, they must be redeemable. They must be redeemable within the prescribed time limit, right? And if we talk about the maximum time limit that is there for the redeemable preference shares, it must be redeemed within 20 years, 20 years from the date of issue, right? So that is something that is going to be the answer to this question. So C is going to be the correct answer. Now moving on to question number 5. Every company shall inform the registrar within dash days the receipt of the director identification number. So for this question, the options are 7 days, B, 10 days, C, 15 days, D, 30 days, and E, 45 days. And the correct answer to this question is going to be C, 15 days, because when we talk about company law, right, every company is required to furnish this director identification number, right, of all its director to the ROC, and that has to be done within 15 days, right? So this is something that is very important. If you want to see the key timelines with respect to this DIN that you need to remember, the first timeline that you need to know is 30 days, राइट और जो सेकंड टाइमलाइन जो आपको याद रखनी है वो है 15 डेज. अब 30 डेज वाले में क्या होता है, बेसिकली the director must intimate the company, right? It must intimate the company within this 30 days, or you can say 1 month, of receiving it from the central government. The moment he receives this DIN from the central government, he must intimate the company within 30 days. Now what this company has to do, suppose the director has given it to the company, now the company is going to inform the registrar about it, right? And that has to be done within 15 days. So these two important timelines that you have to remember, 15 days and 30 days and 15 days as a part of this mechanism. So I hope it is clear to you, and the answer to this question is going to be 15. Question number 6. What is the age limit for directors of a company as per Company Act 2013. So option A 18 to 65, option B 21 to 70, option C 25 to 75, option D 30 to 70, and option E 21 to 65. So the correct answer as per company law, if you talk about company law, if you talk about the minimum age is basically 21 years, right? And if you talk about the maximum age is basically 70 years, right? And there is some sort of exception also. Basically, a person, even if he has attained this age of 70 years, right, he can still continue, or he can still be appointed to this position if a special resolution has been passed with respect to it, right? And apart from that, an explanatory statement has also to be provided, which is some sort of justification that is there, that why this special resolution has been passed, but that can be extended. But I would say in ordinary circumstances, the minimum age is 21 and the maximum is 70. So B is going to be the correct answer to this question. Now moving on to next one, question number 7. If a company or director wants to create a mechanism for the resolution of matters involving 1000 stakeholders or more, what this mechanism is called? So if a company or director wants to create a mechanism for the resolution of matters involving 1000 stakeholders or more, what is this mechanism called? So basically this mechanism is basically called, it is considered as the stakeholder committee, right? So it is stakeholder relationship committee, to be very precise, right? So as per Company Act, every company that constitutes more than 1000, that can constitute more than 1000 shareholders, right, or debenture holders, or you can say deposit holders that are there, right, at any time they are required to constitute this stakeholder relationship committee. That is something that is mandatory. And what is the purpose? The purpose is basically to resolve the grievances of the security holders of the company. So C is going to be the correct answer to this question. So this is the mechanism that they have to create as a part of it. Now moving on to question number 8. As per section 125 of the Company Act, which fund is constituted? As per section 125 of the Companies Act, which fund is constituted? Option A, Corporate Social Responsibility Fund. Option B, National Company Law Tribunal. Option C, Investor Education and Protection Fund. Option D, Employees Provident Fund. And option E, Environmental Protection Fund. So we know that as per section 125 of the company law, which fund is basically created? It is basically Investor Education and Protection Fund, right? And basically as a part of this Investor Education and Protection Fund, different type of unclaimed or unpaid amounts that are there, right, that remained untouched for certain number of years, they are basically transferred to this IEPF as a part of it, right? And I would suggest you to read more about this IEPF. पूरा प्रोसेस समझो कि यार किस तरह के unclaimed जो अमाउंट है जो यहाँ पर ट्रांसफर होते हैं, what is the timeline that is there, right? What is unpaid dividend account? ये सारी चीजें एक बार इस पूरे प्रोसेस को समझो, that how does it work? It is important for your exam because questions have been asked from this area in other years also, right, apart from 2024. So I would suggest you to read about this Investor Education and Protection Fund and more about the other sections that are related to this section 125, right? So that is my suggestion. So please go for it. Now let us move on to question number 9. An appeal to the Supreme Court from the NCLAT. An appeal to the Supreme Court from NCLAT can be made within how many days? Option A, 30 days. Option B, 45 days. Option C, 60 days. Option D, 90 days. Or option E, 120 days. So the correct answer to this question is going to be 60 days, right? 60 days is a time limit within which basically the appeal must be filed with the I would say to the Supreme Court against the NCLAT order. So this is something 60 days as a part of it. Now my question to you is, that is a part of a homework, you can write it as a part of comment box, that within how many days the appeal can be filed against the order of NCLT, right, to NCLAT. तो इसका time क्या होता है? This is something that I want you to write as a part of the comment box, right? Now moving on to question number 10. In special case, an auditor of a company can be removed by an order from which authority? So in special case, the auditor of a company can be removed by an order from which authority? So option A, tribunal. Option B, central government. Option C, district court. Option D, shareholders. Or option E, none of the above. So the correct answer to this question is going to be the tribunal. A is going to be the correct answer. So first of all there is a normal rule, right? So basically in the normal rule, what basically happen when the auditor is removed, it can be removed by passing of any kind of special resolution that is in the general meeting. And apart from that, I would say the prior approval of the central government is also required. These two things are there as a part of the normal rule, that is under normal circumstances. But if I talk about the special rule, that is under special case, that is there, right? So in this case, the tribunal can also come into action, and if the tribunal is, if it is, I would say, convinced, if the tribunal is satisfied with the fact that this certain type of auditor has been involved in certain type of fraudulent activity, or you can say he has been involved in any kind of fraud, right, any kind of fraud, or you can say any kind of corruption that is there. So what the tribunal can do, tribunal can basically pass an order that can remove the auditor from his office, right? So this is something that can be done under the special scenarios, right? These are the scenarios that I have shared with you. So in these scenarios that can happen, but under normal circumstances there is no such kind of provision. Only special resolution is required and prior approval of the central government is required. But the question is about special case, so A is going to be the correct answer to this question, right? So I hope it is clear to you. Question number 11. A firm shall be eligible for appointment. A firm shall be eligible for appointment as an auditor of a company. So we know that there can be individual auditor and there can be firm based auditor also, right? So the question is about firm based auditor. A firm shall be eligible for appointment as an auditor of a company, provided that a firm whereof dash practicing in India are qualified for appointment as aforesaid may be mentioned by its firm name to be auditor of a company. So option A, all partners. Option B, majority of the partners. Option C, any of the partner. Option D, half of the partner. And option E, none of the above. So basically, if you talk about company law, it says that a firm can be appointed as a auditor of a company, right? If basically, first of all, the majority of the partners of the company, right? Majority of the partners are practicing in India and they are qualified to be appointed as the auditor of the company, right? So they have to be qualified and they have to be practicing in India. So the answer to this question is going to be the B option, that is a majority of the partner that is going to be there. This is a very important thing. I want you to read more about it. जो auditor वाले chapter है आपके, इंडिपेंडेंट डायरेक्टर होगी, डायरेक्टर की रोटेशन होगी, ये सारी जो चीजें हैं ये आपको थोड़ा ध्यान से पढ़नी चाहिए बिकॉज यहाँ से क्वेश्चन आते हैं, स्पेशली आपका एनसीएलटी एनसीएलटी वाला चैप्टर, दैट इज एक्सट्रीमली इंपॉर्टेंट. सो मेक श्योर दैट यू हैव अ गुड कमांड ओवर दिस टॉपिक एंड दीज आर वेरी बेसिक थिंग्स. You can see the nature of question is not very much difficult and I would say answerable, right? So B is going to be the correct answer to this question. Now question number 12. Dividend should be transferred to a separate bank account from how many days after the declaration of the dividend? So when the dividend has been declared, within how many days it should be transferred to a separate bank account? So option A 3 days, option B 5 days, option C 7 days, option D 10 days and option E 15 days. So the correct answer to this question is going to be 5 days, right? Because if you talk about the life cycle of dividend payment, right? So basically the declaration of dividend, right? It has to be moved to a separate bank account within 5 days. This is something that you would be knowing, right? I think it is under section 123, right? So within 5 days, it has to be move to a separate bank account. Then if you talk about the dividend, right, if you talk about basically if you're not able to pay it, if there is failure of pay, so I want you to read about this timeline also, right, which is basically 7 days, right, which is basically 7 days if you're failed to do so. And apart from that, you must read about the final transfer also, because final transfer happens where if the money stays in unpaid dividend account, then the final transfer has to be done as a part of IEPF, right? As a part of IEPF. So within how many days it is transferred to IEPF? It is within 7 years, right? So after if the money stays in the unpaid dividend account for 7 years, then after 7 years it is going to get transferred to IEPF. तो ये पूरा प्रोसेस है, मैंने आपको थोड़ा ब्रीफली बताया, बट इसके बारे में एक बार डिटेल में पढ़ना, that what is a timeline, what is a life cycle that is there with the dividend, right? With respect to a dividend payment. It is important for the exam and I want you to read it, right? और आप देख सकते हो यहाँ से 2 क्वेश्चन आ चुके हैं, 2-3 क्वेश्चन मैंने आपको अभी बता दिए हैं. एक तो पहले हमने IEPF का स्पेसिफिक क्वेश्चन देखा, that was related to section 125, right? And this one also you can see over here that the question is related to dividend only. तो ये चैप्टर को पढ़ना बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. It is important for your examination, so make sure that you are reading it. Now moving on, let us move on to question number 13. As per section 71 of the Company Act, if a company wants to issue debentures to more than 500 members, if a company wants to issue debentures to more than 500 members, it must appoint a dash before issuing a prospectus or making an offer to the public. Option A, financial advisor. Option B, debenture trustee. option C, company secretary, option D, auditor, and option E, registrar. So the correct answer to this question is going to be what? It is going to be the debenture trustee, because basically when a company is issuing the debenture basically to more than 500 members, right, it can be either through the prospectus or it can be an offer to the public, right? So in that scenario, basically what is going to happen, it is mandatory for the company to appoint a debenture trustee as a part of it. And what is going to be the role of the debenture trustee? It is going to work in a total unbiased manner, so that basically the interest of the debenture holders, they can be secured, they can be protected as a part of it. So he is going to monitor the compliance, right? He is going to monitor the compliance measures, and apart from that, if any kind of default is there by the company, so it can take the action also as a part of its duty, as a part of its responsibility. So that is why basically the debenture trustee is appointed as a part of it, and B is going to be the correct answer to this question. Now moving on to question number 14th. Which of the following services are auditors permitted to render? Which of the following services are auditors permitted to render? So option A, auditing the financial book. Option B, management services. Option C, internal audits. Option D, accounting. And option E, all of the above. So basically, if you see it over here, in order to understand the background of this question, right, I would suggest you to read section 144 of Company Act. क्योंकि आप 144 पढ़ोगे ना Company Act की, वहां पर आपको साफ साफ दिखेगा that there are certain areas where the auditors, where basically the auditors, they are not allowed to provide these certain type of services. कुछ ऐसी services है जो auditor को provide करना allowed नहीं है. ये मैं आपको suggest करूंगा, एक बार section 144 को नजर मारो, ठीक है? वहां पर आपको आराम से वो लिस्ट दिखेगी, और इस लिस्ट को एक दो बार पढ़ लोगे तो आपको समझ में आ जाएगा. And I multiple times as a part of the classes I have explained the rationale also behind it, but अभी सारी चीजें नहीं डिस्कस कर सकते. तो सेक्शन 144 के थ्रू होना आपको पता लगेगा that auditors, they are prohibited basically to provide different type of services. For example, services related to internal audits, right? तो ये भी allowed नहीं है. The management services are also not allowed. The accounting and I would say bookkeeping services, they are also not allowed as a part of it. Apart from that, the investment advisory services, ये भी allowed करना नहीं, क्योंकि ये सारी चीजें जो हैं, all such type of things that are there, they basically somewhere they have the scope to compromise the independence of the auditor. ठीक है? तो हम नहीं चाहते कि उसकी independence किसी भी तरह compromise हो. So that is why these type of services are not allowed for the auditor to be performed, right? So that there is no situation of conflict of interest, and office of profit situation is also not there. So based on upon that, A is the only option that is going to be the correct answer to this question. तो ये section एक बार देख लेना, ठीक है? तो यहाँ पर आपको इसका एक clear cut थोड़ा detailed answer मिल जाएगा. Question number 15th. पब्लिक ऑफर्स ऑफ सिक्योरिटीज मस्ट बी इन डैश. तो ये तो बहुत इजी क्वेश्चन है, इससे इजी क्वेश्चन मुझे नहीं लगता आपको मिल सकता है एग्जाम में, राइट? इसका आंसर है डीमैट फॉर्म, ठीक है? तो फिजिकल फॉर्म को हम खत्म कर रहे हैं, राइट, बिकॉज ऑफ द डिफरेंट चैलेंजेस दैट आर एसोसिएटेड विद इट. सो द पब्लिक ऑफर सिक्योरिटी, दे मस्ट बी अवेलेबल इन, दे मस्ट बी इशूड ओनली इन डीमैट फॉर्म, व्हिच इज नथिंग बट द डीमेटेरियलाइज्ड फॉर्म, राइट? सो दैट इज गोइंग टू बी द करेक्ट आंसर टू दिस क्वेश्चन. ये तो बहुत इजी क्वेश्चन है, इसमें तो एक्सप्लेनेशन की भी जरूरत नहीं है, बहुत ही स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्ड आंसर होगा इसका. मूविंग ऑन टू क्वेश्चन नंबर 16th. An alternate director can be appointed for a director during his absence from India for a period of not less than what? Not less than dash, right? So A 1 month, B 2 month, C 3 month, D 6 month, and E 12 month. So the correct answer to this question is going to be what? It is going to be basically 3 months as a part of it, right? So we know that alternate director, it can be appointed by the board of director, and when he gets appointed, basically first of all, the director that is there, he is absent from India. That is the first thing. And the second thing is that basically his absence is not less than 3 months, right? So it is not less than 3 months. So that is going to be the two criteria, and this is something that has been asked as a part of the question. So C is going to be the correct answer. Question number 17, which is basically, I think, is the last question. So the tribunal may at any time within dash from the date of the order with a view to rectifying any mistakes apparent from the record. So question ये बोल रहा है कि the tribunal that is there, it may within dash days or within dash years from the date of the order with a view to rectifying any mistake apparent from the record amend any order. तो मतलब जो ट्राइब्यूनल ने ऑर्डर दिया तो उसको अपना ऑर्डर अमेंड करना है, तो वो कितने टाइम में हो सकता है, राइट? एंड शैल मेक एनी सच अमेंडमेंट इफ द मिस्टेक इज ब्रॉट इनटू इट्स नोटिस बाय द पार्टीज, राइट? सो द ऑप्शंस आर A 1 year, B 2 years, C 3 years, D 6 months, and E 5 months. So the correct answer to this question is going to be 2 years. ठीक है? तो 2 साल होता है. So tribunal, what it can do, it can rectify any mistake, right? जो उसके रिकॉर्ड में कोई मिस्टेक है, इट कैन बेसिकली रेक्टिफाइड एंड इट कैन बी बेसिकली विद इन 2 years फ्रॉम द डेट ऑफ द ऑर्डर, राइट। और ये जो मिस्टेक रेक्टिफिकेशन होती है, जरूरी नहीं है कि ट्राइब्यूनल को कोई बताएगा आकर, इफ somebody is filing the appeal or complaint, then only it will be able to rectify. That is not the scenario, because it can be rectified, the order can be rectified on a suo motu basis also. Suo motu का मतलब क्या है? On its own. It basically मीन्स ऑन इट्स ओन, अगर ट्राइब्यूनल को खुद भी आइडेंटिफाई होगा कि इस ऑर्डर में कोई रिकॉर्ड में कोई मिस्टेक है, सो दे कैन रेक्टिफाई इट बाय देमसेल्फ विद इन दिस 2 years. और ऑफ कोर्स इट कैन बी थ्रू द एप्लीकेशन बाय द पार्टी ऑल्सो, इफ एनी पार्टी दैट इज देयर, right, if it feels that basically tribunal order has to be amended, right, if there is certain type of mistake, so it can basically uh, pass the application, and based on that the order can be rectified, the mistake can be rectified. So based on that, B is going to be the correct answer to this question. So now we have seen all the questions that are there with respect to company law asked in the year 2024 phase 2 paper 2, and I hope it was helpful. Now after that, basically Ashima ma'am is going to continue, and you are going to see the costing questions also.
So let us now start with the subject costing. So this is the question number 1, that you have to calculate the cost of production with the following information: material cost, labor cost, setup cost, manufacturing overheads is given to you 20% of the direct labor cost, and selling overheads is also given to you 10% of the direct labor cost. Now you just pause this video, try to answer this question, and then come back to the solution, right? Now in the cost of production, we know that selling overheads is not a part of cost of production, because here I just want to find out the production cost. So the material cost, labor cost, and the setup cost, which are mostly the direct cost, that can be included, and the manufacturing overheads, that is my production overhead, you can say, that is also included. Now just add your direct cost was 600 plus 150 plus 200, that will come out to be how much? This comes out to be 800, 900 and 950 rupees. And the manufacturing overheads, that is 20% of the direct labor cost. So 20% of how much? Direct labor cost, that is 150. 20% of 150 is how much? Just calculate. That is 30 rupees, right? That is 30 rupees. So 30 rupees will also be added to the to find out the cost of production, that is 980, right? So 980 is the correct answer, that is option number D. So all those who have answered it well, very good everyone. Okay. Now, moving on to the question number 2, you have to calculate the differential cost if the cost at 70% activity is 30,000 and 85% activity is 39,000. Now, most of the students can get confused. वो क्या करने के लिए लगेंगे? 70% निकालने की कोशिश करेंगे 30,000 का. But नहीं. We have to find out the differential cost. That is the difference between two activity levels. It is such a simple question. Just at two different activity levels, two alternative activity levels, we have to find out the difference between the two costs. That is 39,000 minus 30,000. What is the difference? 9,000. So 9,000 is the difference and makes it the correct answer. That is option number C. Okay, easy again. Okay, moving on to the question number 3. Again, see, canteen expense for factory workers is classified as. Now, इसमें थोड़ा सा दिमाग यूज करना है हमने कि हम बात कर रहे हैं फैक्ट्री वर्कर्स की. So when we are talking about the factory workers, we are talking about the production department. So of course, first of all, we are talking about the production department. Okay, and then we have the canteen expense. Is canteen expense a direct cost? Is direct cost for the factory workers? Of course not. Why? Because this canteen expense is not directly attributable to the product cost, right? It is not helping to make the product. So it is basically an indirect cost. It is basically an indirect cost. Now let us see the options. First is the administrative overheads. So administrative overheads is basically, you can say, office overheads. So is it a part of office? Again, no. So yes, A answer to हमारा चला गया. Then option number B, that is selling and distribution overheads. Again, is this a part of selling? Is this a part of selling overheads? That is to sell this product? Again, no. Then is it a direct cost? ये तो पक्का ही नहीं है. Then production overheads. Yes, because it is a part of production department and because this is an indirect cost, so it becomes a part of production overheads. This becomes the right answer, that is the production overheads. Next is the financial overheads. Now you can get confused here also, because financial overheads are what? These are also indirect costs. Okay, but here it is mentioned that it is for the factory workers. Now it is given, it is stated that it is for the production department, that is for the factory. So hence we can just write down, we can state that okay, this is the production overheads and not the financial overhead, right? So option number D is the correct answer. Coming to the question number 4, if the input units are 300, okay, with the normal loss of 30% and the units produced are 190, then there will be a normal gain or loss. Then now again pause this video, try to calculate and then come back to the solution. Now, input units kitne hai? 300. There is a normal loss of how much? 30%. So first of all, we need to find out that, okay, how many units that I'm expecting after my normal loss. So 300 minus 30%. So what is 30% of 300? How much it is? 90. So can I say 300 minus 90 units? That will be how much? 210. So this much I am expecting after my normal loss. But how many units are actually produced? How many units are actually produced? 190. So that means I'm again short of 20 units. Okay, that means this is what? This is my abnormal loss because I am not expecting this loss. This 20 units is extra loss over and above my normal loss. So this 20 units will be stated as the abnormal loss. So what will be the answer? Option number B, abnormal loss of 20 units, right? Okay, moving ahead, question number 5. This is again a numerical based question. If the break-even point is 20 lakhs and the fixed cost is 5 lakhs, you have to calculate the profit volume ratio. Now, this is a formula based question. You need to remember the formula if you want to answer such questions. Okay. So the break-even point is given to you, fixed cost is given to you. You have to calculate the PV ratio. Again, pause this video, try to calculate on your own. So the formula is what? PV ratio is equal to fixed cost upon break-even point. So just calculate into 100. Hai? So 5 lakh divided by that is break-even point 20 lakh into 100. So just try to calculate this. This will be 1 by 4 and this reduces down 25%. So it comes 25%, that is option number C, right? So you have to remember the formula that PV ratio is equal to fixed cost upon the break-even point into 100. You will be able to calculate. But if you don't know the formula, then it will be very difficult for you to answer, right? So question number 6. Question number 6 is again formula based. Given a PV ratio of 30%, fixed cost is given to you, selling price is given to you 100 per unit. You have to again calculate the break-even point. In the previous question, break-even point was given to you. Now PV ratio is given to you. Again, it is easy. Now we have to calculate the break-even point, right? So how will you calculate? Fixed cost upon PV ratio. The formula is almost the same. You just have to see how will you, organize it. So break-even point is equal to fixed cost upon PV ratio. This will give you in rupees, right? So fixed cost is how much? 90,000. 90,000 divided by PV ratio, that is 30%, or you can say 30 into 100 here. So you will calculate this, you will get how much? You will get 3 lakh rupees. So you'll get 3 lakh rupees. But you don't want in rupees, you want in number of units, right? The options are given in units. So how will you find this out? Selling price is given to you. That is rupees 100 per unit. So you will just divide 3 lakh divided by the selling price, that is 100 rupees, and you will get the number of units, right? So 3000 will be the number of units. Again, the crux is that you need to remember the formula, right? So you have it in rupees, you have the break-even point in rupees, that is at the situation when there is no profit and no loss, you have the number of, you have it in rupees now. You can calculate in the units by dividing it by the selling price, already given you in the question. So 3000 is the number of units, so the answer comes out to be option number B, right? Let us move ahead. If the desired profit is 20,000, fixed cost is 1,50,000, PV ratio is also given to you, what is the required sales? Now again, if you know the formula, pause this video, try to answer this and then come back. But if you don't know the formula, then let us do the question. Now, you have to find out the required sales. What is the formula? Sales is equal to, it is equal to fixed cost plus profit divided by PV ratio. right? Is this the formula? Right. So fixed cost is how much? 1,50,000 plus profit is given to you 20,000 divided by the PV ratio, that is 50% or 50 into 100. So just try to calculate. This would be 1,70,000 divided by 50 into 100. So when you will calculate this, you will get how much? You will get 17 into 2, 34. 34, 1, 2, 3, 4. So 3,40,000. So 3,40,000 answer is option number C. Right? So this is all, the game of formulas. If you remember the formulas, you'll be able to answer these questions. Coming to question number 8. In cycle manufacturing business, which method of costing is most appropriate? So when I have a cycle, okay, now cycle has so many, things like a chain, है ना, cycle की chain होती है. Then it has wheels, right? Then I need to paint the cycle, right? So basically it has different components, this cycle. So when I'm making a chain is basically a very you can say similar chains are made for every cycle. So basically we can use process costing here because similar type of products are being used, right? In the wheels, basically one company is making wheels for different cycles or cycle brands. For example, one company, ABC Limited, for example, is making for Avon cycles also, it is making for Hero cycles also. So basically what they use is batch costing. They'll use what? Batch costing for the wheels. So, and for the paint is basically according to the customer, according to the demand of the customer. So basically paint is what? Job costing. It is unique for every cycle. So here we can use job costing. So basically, can you see different types of costing we are using for making one cycle, right? So here we are using what? Here we'll be using what? A multiple costing. Here we'll be using multiple costing because we are using different methods of costing, right? Not job costing, not process costing, not batch costing, but yes, we'll be using the integrated version of it, that is the multiple costing. Okay, contract costing is basically not the correct answer because contract costing is for the long projects, है ना, that is for long term. So contract costing तो बिल्कुल भी इसका सही आंसर नहीं होगा, right? So this is multiple costing. Question number 9, again, it's a formula based question. It's a numerical. If you know the formula, kindly stop here and try to solve this. But if you don't know the formula, then yes, let us solve. Labor rate variance. You have to calculate the labor rate variance using the following data. That is standard rate, actual rate is given to you, actual hours is given to you, and standard hours is also given to you. Now you have your actual hours and the standard hours also. So you should know when you have to calculate the rate, you use the actual hours, right? So actual hours into standard rate minus the actual rate. Yes, this is the formula. So actual hours is how much? 500 into what is the standard rate? 2.5 minus actual rate 2.2. Just try to calculate this. This will be 0.3. 500 into 0.3, that will be how much? That will be 150. That will be 150, and it is coming in positive, so it is favorable. So it will be favorable. Answer is option number D, right? So this is the formula for labor rate variance that you should know, that is actual hours into standard rate minus the actual rate, right? So with this calculation, you just have to substitute the values and then you will get 150 favorable, right? So option number D is the correct answer. Coming to question number 10. Now, who is responsible if the raw material purchases are more expensive than expected? If the raw material purchases, so basically here the person who is going, he is not able to negotiate and वो ज़्यादा expensive buy कर रहा है ना? So who will be responsible? किसको पकड़ेंगे? So will we catch the production manager? No, production manager will say, I am basically managing the production department. That is, if the raw material is being used more or less, so I'm seeing the usage of raw material, not its purchasing, then will I catch the finance manager? Finance manager says, I am just authorizing money. Okay, I'm saying ki, okay, I'm giving you 20,000 for your purchases. Now you purchase 100 units out of it or 200 units out of it, I don't care. I'm just giving you, authorizing you the money. So basically finance department is just taking care of the accounts department, है ना? Then the purchase manager. Can I held this hold this purchase manager responsible? Yes. Purchase manager will be held responsible that okay, he has not negotiated well. Okay, because he is going for the purchasing. So yes, the answer would be purchase manager. He will be held responsible if he is buying expensive products. Then marketing manager is basically held responsible for its selling. Okay, that means if he's selling the goods or for the finished goods, when he's going to the market for selling its finished products, basically it's not related to any production or purchases. Then operations manager will say I am handling all the production and the whole production department, that how is the workers doing and what is the activity that they are performing. I am not concerned about the purchases. So operations manager is also the incorrect one. So purchase manager is the correct answer. That is, he will be responsible, right? So option number C. Next, question number 11, that is, what term describes the implementation of a new or significantly improved production or delivery method, including significant changes in techniques, equipment, or software? So here I am trying to talk about that, okay, हमने improve करना है. There is an implementation of improved production or delivery method. So when I'm talking about a method, am I talking about the product? So product innovation can be the correct answer? No. Product के बारे में तो हम बात नहीं कर रहे. We are talking about the method, the production method or the delivery method, which also involves the changes in any technique, equipment or any software, right? So product innovation तो नहीं होगा. Then process innovation. When I'm talking about the method, change in the method, we are of course talking about changing the whole process from the start to end, है ना? The production and the delivery as well. So here, yes, we are talking about process innovation. We are talking about the changes in the process, right? Next is the business model innovation. Business model innovation क्या होता है कि when we are trying to change basically the whole business model. That means, for example, इसमें हम example लेते हैं, for example, Netflix. Netflix is trying to change its business model by changing the genre, or by changing the way people are watching, or by changing the method of payment, है ना? So basically changing the whole business model, that is known as business model innovation. So this is also incorrect. Then service innovation. Are we trying to change the services of the business? No, we are trying to change the production or delivery method. So here it will be wrong. And organizational innovation. So organizational innovation, like you can say, when I'm trying to change the hierarchy, or I'm trying to change the structure of my organization. So here I'm not changing that. So again, this will also be the incorrect option. So the answer is process innovation. Okay. Next, let us talk about the question number 12, that is, how is the effectiveness of the total productive maintenance measured? That is TPM. Okay, so total productive maintenance. So whenever we are talking about TPM, we should remember that we are talking about the equipments, that we are talking about the machines. What does TPM basically say? That there should be no breakdown, है ना, कि we should try to be preventive as much as possible, कि कोई भी breakdown ना हो, कोई भी problem ना हो in between the production. So total productive maintenance, how do we measure that? Basically, we measure it through the overall equipment effectiveness. The overall equipment effectiveness, where we see that if the the machine is available, its performance, and its third is the quality, right? So availability, performance, and the quality is measured in the overall equipment effectiveness. Okay, so how do we measure the effectiveness? We measure it through the overall equipment effectiveness, that how much the equipment is effective to produce certain goods. Okay, how much it is available, how it is performing, and what quality of the products that it is performing. Okay, so ROI, basically ROI is for the investments, है ना, for the long term investments, or basically financial gains. So it will not be the correct answer. Gross profit margin, again, it is for the profits of the overall firm. So this is also not the correct answer. Net present value, this is also for the investments, that okay, what is the present value of the investments? So this is also not correct. Then customer satisfaction. Customer satisfaction is for the customer experiences, the customer perception, to basically measure that. So basically this is also incorrect. हम इधर productive maintenance की बात कर रहे हैं for the equipment. So customer satisfaction index will also be not the correct answer. The answer is overall equipment effectiveness, also known as OEE.
To EduTap. In this particular video, we are going to solve SEBI Grade A Phase 2 Paper 2 of the year 2022. And mind you, this is part 1 of solving the previous year questions of Phase 2 Paper 2 of the year 2022 itself. Now, let's start with the questions. First, I'm starting with the questions of finance. Right? Which of the following is not a method of quantitative control by RBI? Now RBI has two ways to control, inflation. Like there are multiple instruments under monetary policy, but you can divide them into two categories: quantitative and qualitative. Right? Quantitative includes what? Quantitative includes your CRR, your SLR, your repo rate, and all that stuff, right? But in your qualitative, you have what? Moral suasions, you have credit rationing. So the straight away question is asked, which of the following is not a method of quantitative control by RBI? CRR, SLR, MSF, repo, reverse repo, they are. Likewise, they have also added SDF. And the correct answer over here will be option number E, which is credit rationing. Credit rationing is a qualitative measure and not a quantitative one. Right? Now, why I have written SDF? Because SDF was added like just 1 year back, if I'm not wrong, or max to max 2 years back. So you should be knowing that what is the difference between SDF and reverse repo. Do let me know your answers in the comment box. Okay. So let's start, or rather, let's move ahead to the next question. This was easy one according to me. You could have solved it in the real paper also. Question number 2. Recently, SEBI has launched a mobile app, Dash, with the view to empower investors' knowledge about the securities market. Now we are solving the paper of 2022, and in 2022 there was a big current affair related to SEBI, that SEBI has launched a new mobile app which goes by the name of Sarthi. Right? This is basically like an investor awareness program. So you should be aware about SEBI related current affairs in the upcoming phase 2, which is scheduled on 21st of Feb. Right? So the correct answer for question number 2 is option number A. And yes, do not get worry if you don't know this answer, because this is not updated as per the current syllabus. This is the current affair of 2021-2022. Okay. But I'm assuming that this question is easy because this is very, very big news and everybody would have covered it. Right? Question number 3. Where any trade receivable are financed through trends, the concerned trends on the behalf of factor shall give within a period of dash days from the date of assignment or satisfaction thereof, as the case may be, filed with the center registry with the relevant details. Now again, this is based on RBI notification, and we have seen that in 2024 paper also, and you can also see that in 2022 paper also, they are asking questions from the RBI notifications. So please cover RBI notifications for the year 2025 attempt also, because you can definitely get a question. First, try to cover the last 3 months of RBI notifications, and then try to expand it up to at least 5 to 6 months for the sake of safety. Right? Now the correct answer over here is option number A, which is 10. But don't worry if you do not know this answer, because this is not like relevant for the current year, right, in which we all are sitting. But still, I will rate this particular question as tough, because many less people cover the RBI notifications, and in RBI notifications they are asking you a factual detail. Therefore, I will rate this question as tough. Okay, so first 2 questions were easy, the third one was tough. Which of the following is applicable on dynamic QR on B2C invoice under GST applicable from 1st July 2021? Now this is your finance current affairs. And in your finance current affairs, definitely we say that you should cover the current affairs which are related to your syllabus. GST is directly mentioned in your syllabus. Likewise, if you just recall, yesterday only, if I'm not wrong, 16th Finance Commission report is released. So if you are not covering that particular report, and if the question comes in the exam, then you will cry. So please, please, please do cover the updated 16th Finance Commission report, because Finance Commission is directly written on your syllabus. Right? For question number 4, if you know the answer, then you can give me. I am not expecting the right answers, because this is also not required to be done as per the current, I would say, current affairs, because this is an outdated current affair. So we will just tell you the right answer. The right answer will be option number A. But please cover the finance current affairs, SEBI related current affairs, RBI related notifications, or RBI related current affairs for at least past 3 months. You should also cover the budget and major highlights of economic survey. Why I'm saying budget? Because in 2024 there were questions from budget, so you should also do it. Economic survey, you can just read the highlights. Right, now let's move to question number 5. As per the recommendations made by the 15th Finance Commission, which of the following is not one of the 4 themes mentioned in the devolution of performance-based incentives and grants to states? Social sector, rural economy, power sector reform, government and administrative reforms, or manufacturing reforms? Manufacturing reforms. Again, focus 15th Finance Commission. But you know, as I told you, 16th Finance Commission is like the report was just released yesterday. So please cover it up. This is very, very important. Right now, again, I hope you will not be able to give the right answer for this, because this is not updated as per the current requirements of the exam, right? 16th Finance Commission you have to study, not 15th. The correct answer for question number 5 will be option number E. Now, will this be tough? Yes, this is a tough question because many less people study the original report. And the last question was also tough, which was related to GST, because this is not something regular in the news. Now, moving forward to question number 6. Which of the following statement regarding interest rate parity is true? Interest rate parity is basically showing you the relationship between interest rates and the exchange rate. Interest rates of that particular country and the exchange rate, right? So this is a factual question. This is a theme-based question, or you can say this is a concept-based question. If your concepts are clear, then definitely you can answer it. Now try to answer this question. What is your correct answer? The same goods first. No. Interest comes across different countries will eventually be same. There is an offsetting relationship between interest rate differentials and the exchange rate. Yes, this will be the correct answer, which is option number C. Now please do not go in the deep understanding of interest rate parity, because this is very, very confusing concept and there are multiple formulas which you have to study. Then only this concept will go in your mind. So just remember the basic of it. So if I just see the 6 questions which have appeared in finance section of the year 2022, first 2 questions were easy. Every student should do it. Question number 3, question number 4 and question number 5 were tough. In fact, 6 is also tough. 6 is also tough. So you can see the paper level is like easy to tough. But the 2 questions should be done by everybody. It would be question number 1 and 2. If you are going wrong in these questions, then where will you get the marks from? Right? So 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th, they are tough. If you don't know them, don't worry. If it is tough for you, then it is tough for everybody. Right? Now let's move to management. The first question. Events like anger, frustration, humor can blur the decision-making capacities of a person and thus limit the effectiveness of their communication. These events act as which of the following type of barriers? Now we have multiple type of barriers in communication chapter. The question is asking you regarding anger, frustration and humor. These are basically emotions of a person. Therefore, the correct answer will be option number B. The correct answer will be option number B. Now I know psychological barriers are also known as emotional barriers, right? I have taught you management, so I know. But psychological barriers, the keyword will be related to your mind or related to the current state of your mind. Are you occupied in something and not listening to the message? That is psychological barrier. But emotional barrier was directly given in the option, so I will be choosing that because anger, frustration and humor, these are definitely the emotions of a human being. Question number 2. Which of the following is true about organizational morale and not for motivation? So morale and motivation is like a must-do concept for all of you. Morale deals with the work environment and is primary factor driving the organization. A looks correct. Remember, you have to find the true for morale, but not for motivation. Morale acquires primary concern? No. Morale is a primary factor. Primary factor means what? One of the most important factors. But does morale acquire primary concern? No. Motivation acquires the primary concern. Primary concern as in like importance. First, I will give importance to motivation and then morale. Because higher motivation will obviously lead to higher morale. But higher morale might or might not lead to higher motivation. So those who know the concepts of management, they can definitely say that B is incorrect. C. Morale is an interpsychological drive for an individual. For an individual, no. Morale is related to group. So C is also eliminated. Higher morale lead to higher motivation of employees. This is a maybe case. This is a maybe. Like ho sakta hai, but it is not like mandatory. So we will eliminate D also. The correct answer comes out to be option number A itself. Now I will rate this question as moderate because many less students cover the concept of motivation and morale. And the first question will also be moderate because this is not directly, solvable. You have to first understand the barriers and then you have to apply your brain. But yes, it can be easy for some those who know the concepts. Right? Same goes for question number 2. It can be easy for those students who know the concept. Third one, identify the HRD subsystem where employee performance is increased with increase in his ability and knowledge. See, ability is increased with training and knowledge is increased with development. This is the fundamental rule which you study in your HRD chapter. Career planning deals with your career. It does not deals with your ability and knowledge. Performance appraisal is like giving feedback to your employee. Organizational development is like taking some planned efforts. So my correct answer was option number A itself. And once you have A as correct, then why you are going ahead to read other options. Save your time. Question number 4. Identify the leadership style. Identify the leadership style where the leader has inspirational and charismatic approach. Inspirational and charismatic will only fall under one type of leadership which goes by the name of transformational leadership. Therefore, my answer will be option number B, transformational leadership. Right? Transactional cannot be your right answer. Authoritarian, autocratic was given by Kurt Lewin and they are also not correct. Delegative is again not correct. So my answer comes out as option number B. Next question, and yes, these two are looking easy. Question number 3 and 4, by the way, looks easy. Identify the role of manager where manager solves the problem, provide feedbacks, duly recognize his employees, and provides training and development and monitors work. So read the question number 5, and tell me the correct answer. Now we know the role of manager given by Henry Mitzberg, but these are not given by Henry Mitzberg. These are like random roles of manager which the examiner has put in the paper. Identify the role of a manager where manager solves the problem, provides feedback also, give recognition also, provides training and development also, and monitors the work. So this is a kind of an open-ended question. Open-ended as in like you have to choose that particular option which is broad, not narrow. Right? So performance management, developmental, providing perspective, change agency. C and D can straight away be eliminated. Providing perspective doesn't make any sense. Change agents are people who you hire to make sure that your company is working on the right change. Like these are special agents who come in your company and they promote change. None of the above is also not looking correct. So what will be the answer? The correct answer is performance management. Basically in performance management, you recognize the employee, you provide training and development also. Right? If I choose developmental, then it's more of future oriented, not of like current work. So therefore my answer will be option number A. This was a kind of a tricky question. So I will rate it as moderate. Question number 6. Which of the following is an incentive and not a reward? Which of the following is an incentive and not a reward? So you have to read the statements and you have to identify that which of the following is an incentive and not a reward. Incentive basically means something which you have already announced, or a kind of a perk or a kind of a benefit which you have already announced. For example, those who will increase the sale by 20,000 units, they will definitely get a 5% increment in salary. This is an incentive. Reward is like, let's say an employee has produced, let's say 80,000 or 70,000 units. Your target was just 20,000, but you have increased it by 70,000. So this means it's an exceptional performance. And whenever you have an exceptional performance, to reward, you give what? You give a reward, right? So to reward an employee, you will give a prize. That prize will be called as a reward, right? So reward is given once the performance has been attained, and thus this performance is mind blowing. Incentive is like those who increase the sale by 20,000, like if 5 to 6 people increase the sale by 20,000, you will give them 5% increment, right? So remember, by this explanation, I can definitely tell you that incentive is more of forward looking, and that will be my correct answer because I have to stimulate my employees' behavior so that they can increase productivity in the future period of time. So it's more of forward looking in the future, right? Read the other statements. Given to stimulate greater production, that can be true for incentive and both reward also. Recognition of past performance, this is true for reward, right? Providing cash for something done in past is not making any sense. Like this can be true for reward, but you have to identify the statement related to incentive, right? So if you see in question 6, whatever questions we have solved, first question moderate, second moderate, third easy, fourth easy, fifth is also kind of doable if your concepts are done or if your concepts have good clarity, but I will rate it as moderate. Sixth one is also moderate. So you can see the overall paper for management for 2022 is easy to moderate. You could have scored good. Now let's come to the most dangerous section, accounts. Question number 1 says rather, oh, you can see the answer, so I will hide it. Don't worry. I think there is some mistake in making the PDF. The answers are already given, but don't worry, you can solve with me. Which of the following statement is incorrect regarding the provisions? They appear on the company balance sheet under current liability. Yes, they do. We have this balance sheet structure and you write provision for dividends, provision for warranties, provision for bad dates as your current liability. A provision should be recognized as an expense. Yes, because they will reduce your P&L. They will be charged from P&L, so your profit is bound to reduce. Provision represents the fund put aside by the company to cover anticipated losses. Yes, this is what the major objective of provision is. Provisions are contingent upon happening or non-happening of an event. This is incorrect. Why this is incorrect? Because contingent liability is contingent. Contingent means what? कि होगा या नहीं होगा. Something will happen or something will not happen. That is contingent liability, not a provision. Like for example, provision for doubtful debts. Right? I have created certain buffer amount. Now I'm sure that it will happen. People will be defaulting as debtors. But what amount will be there, that I'm unsure. But the event will take place. So you cannot say that provisions are contingent. Therefore, D is eliminated and D will be the correct answer. Next question, my friends. You have to calculate the net profit from below using cash basis of accounting. So you have to use cash, not accrual. Although if nothing is mentioned, then we use accrual. But over here they have mentioned cash basis of accounting. So please try to solve this question. Calculate net profit from below cash basis of accounting for the year ending 31st March 2021. Now on cash basis, will you take sales which is done on credit? No, right? Because cash basis says that you have to record the entry only when the cash is received. In sales credit or in your credit sale, there is no money which you are receiving. So item number 1 will automatically be removed. Cash paid in salary, yes, this is your expense, so minus 25,000, or you can just write 25,000 as a cash outflow. Advance received, yes, you have received advance of 40,000. Although this advance is of 2020 to 2023, we are making the balance sheet on 31st March 2021, but still we will include it because this is cash basis. Cash basis says what? Whenever you get the money, you will do the accounting, right? Whenever you get the money, you will do the accounting. So you have 40,000 received in this particular year based on cash accounting. I will include it. Now you have done an expenditure of 25,000, right? So 25,000 will be removed, and you will also reduce what? Ticket for an airline purchase in March 2021 for the travel of October 2022. It doesn't matter when you are purchasing because you have done the expenditure, so you have to reduce it. So once you do it, like 40,000 is positive, minus 25,000 minus 6,500, you will get your answer as what? 8,500. Is it? Let's check. Yes, it is there in the option, so I will mark my answer as option number C. Let me check, is it correct? Yes, the answer was correct. You got it right, that in cash basis we have to just see what, that when we are getting cash, it doesn't follow accrual, it doesn't follow matching, it doesn't follow revenue recognition, right? You have to follow cash basis. Then if question says that nothing is mentioned in the question, then you have to assume accrual only. I hope you know what accrual is, right? Question number 3, everybody. I will hide the answer for you. Chalo. Using the following information, calculate interest coverage ratio. Interest coverage ratio is what? EBIT divided by your interest. EBIT divided by your interest obligations, right? Now, have they given you EBIT? No, they have given you profit after tax. So your net profit is given to you as 60,000. They have given you tax rate of 40. Okay, and they have given you 15% long-term debt of 10 lakhs. So first, if net profit is given, first profit what you get is gross profit. Then you have EBIT. then you have profit before tax, and then you have profit after tax. Those who have attended my classes, they know the hierarchy of this particular structure of profits. So PAT is given to you as 60,000. You have to go to EBIT, right? So first of all, you have to add tax, but tax they have given you in percentage, not directly. So what you can assume is, let my profit before tax be X. Let my profit before tax be X minus 40% of X is equals to what? Profit after tax, which is given to me as 60,000. So it will be like X, your profit before tax, because we are calculating this, right? The difference between profit before tax and PAT is what? It is tax only, right? So our tax rate is given, not absolute number. So my profit before tax, if you do this, this will come out as what? 60,000 divided by 0.60, so it will be 1 lakh, right? If I'm not wrong. You also solve, right? So profit before tax came out to be as what? 1 lakh. Now, you also know that to come from EBIT to PBT, if you have to come from earning before interest and taxes to PBT, you have to settle certain non-operating incomes and non-operating expenses. In this case, you are paying interest. So interest will be added. Interest will be added to PBT so that you can reach to EBIT. Right? What is the interest obligation which I have to pay? 15% of 10 lakh. 15% of 10 lakh, which will be 1,50,000. Right? So if I add 1,50,000 to my profit before tax, my EBIT will come out as what? 2,50,000. My EBIT will come out as what? 2,50,000. Now, simply you have got the numerator 2,50,000 divided by interest obligation, which came out as 150. So solve this and your answer will come out as what? Option number C. I have not solved this, but I am seeing the answer which is given in the PDF itself. It's 1.67. So if you solve, you will also get the similar answer. It will be 1.66 something. So you can round it off to 1.67. Cool. I will rate this question as moderate, not hard, because if your concepts are clear, then you could have solved easily. So till now, accounts question looks easy to me, not tough. Question number 1 is easy. Question number 2 is also easy. Question number 3 is moderate, right? Second is easy. First is easy. Third one is moderate. Coming to the fourth one. Calculate the book value of per share of ABC Limited using the information below. Book value per share means what? Now see, book value per share basically means shareholders fund. Shareholders fund divided by what? Divided by your total shares which are outstanding. Yes, total shares which are outstanding, or you can say total equity shares which are outstanding, right? So now you have to calculate shareholder fund. Shareholder fund means what? Equity capital, preference capital plus your reserves and surplus. So if you do this, then your shareholder fund will come out as what? In the information which is given, profit after tax, issued share capital issued, market value of rupees 13. So if you solve this, your shareholder fund is just having one particular component, which is 70,000 shares into 10, which is your 7 lakh rupees, right? 70,000 is the total number of shares multiplied by the face value. So total equity share capital is what? Or total share capital is what? 7 lakh only, divided by the total shares which are outstanding. Total number of shares are 70,000. Now if you solve this, your answer will be somewhere around 10, right? But 10 is not given in the option. Now see, this is where the logic comes. This is where the logic comes. They have given you market value. Market value, I think, is not making any sense in this question. They have just given it to confuse you. But if you see profit after tax, this is your net profit. This net profit, if it is not used for other purposes, then it will be transferred to the reserves. Now in your shareholder fund, we all know that it is equity, preference and reserves and surplus. So I will include this 1,75,000 into my reserves. Although they are not labeled as the reserve directly, but we are assuming, because if you solve the question with the basic method, your answer is not coming. So you have to assume something, that profit after tax which is given, this will be your reserve and surplus, right? So it is 175. So if you solve this, like do the calculation for me, it will be what? 875 in the numerator divided by 70,000. If you do this, what will be your answer? 7 lakh plus 175 divided by 70. Your answer, if I'm not wrong, will come out as what? uh, like solve it, I will also open my calculator because I'm not that much good in mathematics. So 875 divided by total number of shares, right? 70. So my answer is coming out as option number B, which is 12.5, right? So I hope you would have also solved it. But yes, my assumption was that profit after tax will be transferred to reserves and surplus. Cool. So this is my question number 4. Now let's come to question number 5. I hope you are solving with me. Calculate gross profit ratio. Gross profit ratio is what, my friend? Gross profit divided by sales into 100 for percentage conversion. Now solve it. Sales is given as 1 lakh, purchases is given, carriage inward is given, wages is given, salary को ignore करना है because salary is not the part of gross profit calculation. Salary is an I would say operating expense which will be calculated for EBIT, which will be used for calculation of EBIT. Right? Decrease in inventory is given to US 10,000 positive and purchase return is given to US 2,000. Okay. Purchase return is given to me as 2000. So my net purchase became what? 73. Right? 75 minus 2, simple. And now, see, first you have to understand the formula. Gross profit by sales. Sales we have directly and there is no sales return. So I will take this as a final number. Now you have to calculate gross profit. Gross profit is what, my friends? Sales minus COGS. Sales is given to you as 1 lakh. Now you have to calculate COGS. COGS is directly given to you as what? Opening stock plus your purchases plus your direct expenses minus your closing stock. Right? Now see, opening minus closing they have given to you as 10,000. So I will directly write 10,000 over here. Purchases they have given to me as 73,000. 75 minus 2 plus your, I would say what? Your carriage inward plus the wages. These are two direct expenses which you will take into the account. So this will be 7,000. 5 plus 2. Will we take salary? Salary is not a direct expense. Remember this. Salary, marketing expense, office administration, office rent, office water bill. These are all operating expenses, I know, but these are indirect. These are indirect. These are not direct cost. Right? So if you do this, your COGS will come out as what? COGS will come out as what? This is your 80 plus 10, 90. So my COGS came out as 90. Right? So my gross profit will be what? Sales minus COGS. COGS is 90. Sales is 1 lakh. So my gross profit will come out as what? 10,000 only. Right? Now apply the formula. Gross profit is gross profit divided by sales. Sales was 1 lakh. Gross profit ratio is what? Gross profit divided by sales. So ये तो 10% होना चाहिए. The correct answer should be 10% because you will multiply by 100 also. Right? Just do the calculation basic. Right? So according to me this question is easy to solve. The correct answer will be option number B. Now let's move to 6th. A company purchased an inventory of 1000 units at 1200 per unit from the outside vendor. Vendor allowed a trade discount of 5%. Vendor offered a cash discount of 3% if payment is made in 45 days. Company decided to avail that. Custom duty is 50 per unit and delivery charge is 6,000 as a whole. Find the value of inventory. As per AS2, we will not take any cash discount into picture. Cash discounts are not considered. So this particular line, cash discount of 3%, this you have to ignore. Right? So my total cost will become what? 1,000 into 1200, which will be 12 lakhs. Which will be what? 12 lakhs only, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, it will be 12 lakhs per unit from the outside vendor. Vendor allowed 5% as a trade discount. So if you do 5% of this and deduct it, or you can directly do 95%, then you will get a value. Okay, then you will get a value. Like, let me do it with the help of calculator. And in exam, you are allowed to use calculator, but you should be very quick, right? So 12 lakh 95% will be 11 lakh 40,000. 11 lakh 40,000. This is my after the trade discount. I will not take into the account the cash discount. Company decided to avail that. Okay, custom duty of 50 per unit is paid. So 50 into how many units? 1000 units. So you will be adding what? 50,000 over here, right? Or you will be adding what? You will be adding 50 into 1000 only, right? And delivery charge of 6. So you will pay delivery charge of 6,000 as whole. So your total will be 1196. Your total will come out as what? 1196. You can do the calculation straight away. Your answer will come out as what? 11,96,000. Clear everybody? I hope आपने भी solve किया होगा and you are not over here to just see my face. Question number 7. Company ABC Limited took a loan of $10 million for 3 months on 1st January 2021. Okay, so they are taking a loan of $10 million. Exchange rate at the time of contract was $1 is equals to rupee 70. Exchange rate at the time of repayment. Okay, so you are making a repayment on 31st March 2021. Repayment rate is $1 is 72.5. So your rupee has appreciated or depreciated? It has depreciated by 2.5. Find the amount of PNL to be charged in the year of 2020-2021. Simple question. This is a loss for you because rupee has depreciated and you have taken a loan in a foreign currency, which the total value of currency is 10 million. So 10 million into 2.5, which will be a loss of 2.5 crores, right? They can ask you in millions also, but they have asked you in crores. The correct answer will be option number B. Straight away question. You do not even have to pick your pen for this. Last question, question number 8. Which of the following statement is incorrect with regard to cash and cash equivalents? Cash equivalents include bank accounts and marketable securities of less than 90 days. Yes, this is a definition of cash equivalent. So how it can be incorrect? Any item falling in this category will be classified as current asset. Obviously, yes, because this is maturing. This will help you to get the money in less than 90 days only. And for current asset, the limit is of 1 year. So the cash and cash equivalent is definitely a current asset. Cash equivalents include bank deposits with more than 12 months. No, no, no. So my answer will be option number C, because option number C is incorrect one. Right? So if you see, my friends, all the questions we have solved so far, in accounts also it is logical and you could have scored good. In management also, with some practice you
Recommendation. So as a part of this video, we are going to discuss SEBI Grade A Phase 2 Paper 2. So the question number 1 is the president of NCLT, NCLAT and judicial members are appointed by the government in consultation with whom? So option A, President of India. Option B, Law Minister. Option C, Ministry of Corporate Affairs. Option D, Chief Justice of India. Option E, SEBI Chairman. So the correct answer to this question is going to be option D, which is Chief Justice of India, because we know that as per Company Act, this President of NCLT, Chairperson of NCLAT and judicial member, they are basically appointed by the central government in consultation with the Chief Justice of India. And why is it so? This requirement basically ensures the judicial independence, of these quasi-judicial bodies, right? So that is the reason behind it, and D is going to be the correct answer to this question. Now let us move on to question number 2. The tenure of an independent director is for dash consecutive years, and if he is to be appointed for a second term, a special resolution needs to be passed. So the correct answer to this question is going to be basically the A option, because we know that the tenure of independent director is for a term of up to 5 years, right? 5 consecutive years. And if the company wishes to appoint the same independent director for the second term, then what is going to happen? In order to do that, the special resolution is going to be passed in the general meeting, right? And the company will have to disclose the justification also with respect to this requirement. But once he has been appointed as the independent director for the 2 consecutive terms, then what is going to happen? There is going to be the cooling off period of 3 years, right? So this is very basic information regarding independent directors. Independent director is a very important topic for your examination, so you have to prepare it, and this is a very general information. I hope you already have idea regarding this, and A is going to be the correct answer to this question. Now moving on to the next one, question number 3. Under section 124 of the Company Act, if the money is not paid to the shareholders and remains unpaid for dash years, it is transferred to the Investor Education and Protection Fund. So the correct answer to this question is going to be what? It is going to be 7 years. So B is going to be the correct answer, because when we talk about Company Act, basically any dividend amount that remains unpaid. So if there is any dividend amount that is unpaid, or you can say unclaimed, right, for 7 consecutive years, then what is going to happen? It must be transferred to the Investor Education and protection fund, right? So this is something that you need to know. And if you remember the last video that we had released regarding the PYQs, that is regarding 2024 PYQs, there also I would say 1 to 2 questions that year also were asked related to this section. So this section is extremely important. You can see in 2022 also one question has been asked, and 1 to 2 questions were asked in 2024 also. So please put some good amount of focus when it comes to this section. It is important for your examination, right? Questions are asked from this area. Now let us move on to question number 4. According to section 141 of the Companies Act, who is eligible to be appointed as an auditor of a company? So option A, chartered accountant; option B, company secretary; option C, CMA, certified management accountant; option D, chief financial officer; and option E, none of the above. So the correct answer to this question is going to be what? It is going to be chartered accountant, right? So a person who is going to be appointed as an auditor of the company, he shall be a chartered accountant. Other professionals, for example, the company secretary, CMA, chief financial officer, they are not allowed to be a part of it, right? So this can be regarding the individual, but if let us say there is a firm, this firm is appointed as an auditor of the company. So the condition is that basically the majority of the partner who are practicing, right? The majority of the partners with respect to the firm, they must be practicing chartered accountancy, right? So this is regarding the firm, and the normal individual that is there, the alone individual, he has to be the CA only. So that is the idea regarding the eligibility. Now let us move on to question number 5. As per the provision of the Company Act 2013, a meeting of the board shall be called by giving not less than dash days notice in writing to every director at his address registered with the company. So a meeting of the board of directors shall be called by giving not less than how many days notice? It is basically 7 days notice, right? Because we know that if we talk about Company Act section 173, so as per section 173, basically a minimum of 7 days notice in writing must be given to every director at the address that is registered with the company to convene a board meeting, right? So 7 days is going to be the answer to this question. But however, let us say if there is a case of urgency, if any urgent case is there, then in case of urgency, what can happen is a meeting may be called on a shorter notice also, right? So over there, the 7 days requirement is not required, right? But in the normal scenario, 7 days is the I would say the period before which basically which has to be followed while giving the notice in writing to every director, right, at his address with the company. So this is going to be the answer to this question. Now let us move on to question number 6. Recently, SEBI has directed the mutual fund industry to set up an audit committee at the asset management company level. As per the provisions of the Company Act, what is the minimum number of directors required for the audit committee? So option A, 1, option B, 3, option C, 5, option D, 7, and option E, none of the above. So the correct answer to this question is going to be option 3, right? Because as per Company Act, basically the audit committee must consist of minimum 7 directors, right? Additionally, it also says that basically the majority of the members of the audit committee, they shall be independent directors. They shall be independent directors. And apart from that, if you talk about the chairman of the audit committee, right, this is also very important provision. If you talk about the chairman of the audit committee, he must also be an independent director only, right? So these are the important facts regarding this section, and B is going to be the correct answer, which is basically minimum of 3 directors shall be present, shall be there. Now moving on to question number 7. Application money is the money received by a company when it issues shares to the public. Once the application money is received, allotment is made to the shareholders. The minimum share application is dash percentage of the nominal value of shares. So if I reread the question, so application money is the money that is received by the company when it issues shares to the public. Once the application money is received, allotment is made to the shareholders. The minimum share application money is dash percentage of the nominal value share. So what it is going to be, what percentage? It is going to be 5%, right? So if you talk about section 39 of the Company Act, right, you must be knowing about this section. So section 39 of the Company Act, if it basically says that a company issuing the shares to the public, it must do what? It must receive at least 5% of the nominal value of shares as the application money, right? So 5%, A is going to be the correct answer to this question. Now these were the number of questions that were asked in the year 2022 regarding the company law. Now, as a part of this video, now Kritika ma'am is going to continue and she's going to discuss the questions that were asked from the economics part. And after that, Ashima ma'am is going to discuss the questions related to the costing. So I hope the session was helpful.
So hello everyone, now let's start with the previous year questions of your 2022 SEBI Grade A Phase 2 examination. For your paper 2, we will discuss the economics questions. Okay, we will discuss the economics previous year questions. So let's get started. Now the first economics question is in front of you. Which of the following is not a method of quantitative control by RBI? So basically the RBI, it controls the monetary policy, or it lays down the monetary policy, and under the monetary policy there are quantitative tools and there are the qualitative tools. Okay, the quantitative tools of monetary policy are CRR, SLR, the Martian standing facility, the repo and the reverse repo. They all are the quantitative tools, while the credit rationing, it comes under the qualitative tool of the monetary policy, as well as it is also known as the selective credit control tool. Okay, so E is the right answer here. I hope you were easily able to identify this. So qualitative tools of monetary policy, they are also known as selective credit control tools, and the credit rationing, loan to value ratio, moral suasion, direct action, all of these comes under the qualitative tools of monetary policy. Now let's go to the next question, that is regarding the incorrect statement regarding NBFC, the non-banking financial companies. So the NBFCs, they do not form a part of the payment and settlement system. Absolutely correct. The NBFCs, they do not form a part of the payment and settlement system. NBFCs also, they cannot issue checks drawn on themselves. Deposit insurance facility is not provided for the deposits that you are doing in the NBFCs. Okay, so if you are doing the deposits in the banks, your deposits are insured by the DICGC till the limit of 5 lakh. Okay, but if you are doing the deposits in the NBFCs, then your deposit is not insured by the DICGC. Okay, so this is also correct that the deposit insurance facility of DICGC is not available for the deposits of the NBFCs. The NBFC is a company registered under the Companies Act of 1956. That is also correct. It can be engaged in the business of loans, advances, acquisition and such. NBFC, they can accept the demand deposits? No, the NBFCs, they can only accept the time deposits, and that is also for the minimum period of 12 months and the maximum period of 60 months. Okay, so that means they can only accept the time deposits for a time period, and they cannot accept the demand deposits that can be withdrawn on demand. The NBFCs can only accept the time deposits for a minimum period of 12 months and the maximum period of 60 months. So E was the incorrect statement, and that's why here the answer is E. Okay, so these are the basic characteristics of the NBFCs that you have to keep in mind. Now coming to the next question, that is calculate the NNP at FC. You have to calculate the national income, that is your NNP at FC, from the data that has been given here. So basically, if you have to calculate the NNP at FC from GNP at MP, gross to net, what do you have to do? From the gross to net, deduct depreciation. From national to national, no change. From market to factory, from market price to factor cost, deduct the indirect taxes, add the subsidies. Okay, so GNP at MP, that is 5069, deduct the depreciation, that is consumption of fixed capital 626, and deduct the indirect taxes, that is 495, and add the subsidies, that is 69. Okay, so if you do the calculation, the NNP at FC, I hope you are able to calculate this, and I hope you got to the same formula for calculating the NNP at FC. So the answer here is 4017. So here the answer is A. Okay, and the formula is that to calculate NNP at FC from the GNP at MP, from the GNP at MP to calculate the NNP at FC, from gross to net, deduct the depreciation, deduct the consumption of fixed capital, from market to factory, from market price to factor cost, deduct the indirect taxes, add the subsidies, you will get 4017. Okay, so factor cost to market price, add the indirect taxes, deduct the subsidies, and vice versa. From net to gross, add depreciation, and vice versa. From domestic to national, add the net factor income from abroad. Okay, so these are the conversion. Now, which of the following defines the monetary base? See, monetary base is also known as the reserve money or the reserve base, or it is also known as the high powered money. High powered money, that is written as M naught. So the formula for M naught is the sum of currency in circulation. So currency in circulation plus the banker's deposit with the RBI plus the other deposit with the RBI. Okay, so this is the formula of the monetary base. So here the currency in circulation and bankers deposit with the RBI, this is the answer. The other deposit with RBI, it is usually ignored because it is a very small value. Okay, so even if the other deposit with RBI is not written, remember that it is a very small value, so it is usually ignored. So here the answer is A, that is the direct formula for the monetary base or the reserve money or the high powered money. Okay. So M naught, currency in circulation plus bankers deposit with the RBI plus other deposits with the RBI. So this is your M naught, that is the reserve money or high powered money or the monetary base. And the other formula of the M naught is currency with public plus cash reserves of the banks plus other deposits with RBI. This is another formula for the M naught. M1 is currency with the public plus demand deposit plus other deposit. M2 is M1 plus savings deposit with the post office saving bank, and M3 is M1 plus time deposits with the banks. M4 is M3 plus total deposit with the post office saving organization excluding the national savings certificates. So remember that these formulas are very, very important from the examination perspective. Okay, so now coming to the next question. Now, which of the following statements is incorrect regarding the Phillips curve? So the Phillips curve states that inflation and unemployment, they have inverse relationship. So usually, yes, it is said that the Phillips curve shows the inverse relationship between inflation rate and unemployment rate. If the inflation rate is increasing, the unemployment rate is decreasing. The short run Phillips curve or the downward sloping Phillips curve. So the downward sloping Phillips curve is generally held to be valid only in the short run. Yes, it is stated that the short run Phillips curve is downward sloping, while in the long run we have a vertical Phillips curve. So in the long run we have a vertical Phillips curve because in the long run it is stated that we have achieved the natural rate of unemployment and the unemployment rate is stuck at this natural rate of unemployment in the long run, and so the Phillips curve is vertical. Okay, so in the long run Phillips curve is usually thought to be vertical at the non-accelerating inflation rate of unemployment, that is the natural rate of unemployment. Okay. Now, high inflation and high unemployment are because of recession. So basically, the high inflation and high unemployment, this is the characteristic that we find under the stagflation. This is the characteristic of the stagflation. That means stagnation. The stagnation has come into the economy due to which the output is not increasing and the unemployment might be increasing, and inflation is also persistent in the economy. So high inflation and high unemployment, they are because of stagflation. So all the other statements are correct, only the D1 was wrong, and that's why D is the answer, because you had to find the incorrect statement. Okay, so basically high inflation and high unemployment, they are generally the situation under the stagflation, and it is said that the Phillips curve, that is the downward sloping Phillips curve that shows the inverse relationship between inflation rate and unemployment rate, it broke down because of the stagflation that was faced in 1970s by US. So the inflation rate was also increasing or unemployment rate was also increasing, due to which the Phillips curve shift rightwards. Okay, and the stable Phillips curve, the stable downward sloping Phillips curve broke down because there was rightward shift in the Phillips curve that showed that inflation rate is increasing, and with that unemployment rate is also high. Okay, so this is the idea that stagflation, it talks about the high inflation and high unemployment, which leads to the stagflation leads to the rightward shift in Phillips curve or the adverse supply shock. It leads to the rightward shift in Phillips curve. Now, coming to the next question, which of the following statements is incorrect regarding monopolistic competition? So monopolistic competition, it exists when there are large number of buyers and sellers. Absolutely correct. In the monopolistic competition, there is no barrier to entry and exit of the firms. Correct. Monopolistic competition has product differentiation and firm bear the selling cost or the advertisement cost. Yes. Monopolistic competition, like soap industry, there are so many of the different kind of soaps, so the firms have to do the product differentiation, the firms have to do the advertisements and such. Monopolistic competition has less elastic demand than the perfect competition. Now think about it, the perfect competition has perfectly elastic demand curve, while the monopolistic competition has downward sloping demand curve that is elastic. Okay, so the monopolistic competition has less elastic demand curve in comparison to the perfect competition. That is correct, because the perfect competition has perfectly elastic demand curve, while the monopolistic competition has less elastic demand curve in comparison to the perfect competition. So this is also correct. Now Coming to the last statement, there is no excess capacity in the long run with normal profits. No, in the monopolistic competition, actually there is excess capacity that is present. Okay, so this is the incorrect statement. In the monopolistic competition, in the long run with the normal profits, there is excess capacity that is present. So here you can see that in the long run, the equilibrium is here, where the marginal cost is cutting the MR from below. So at this equilibrium point, the firm is not at the minimum of average cost. The minimum of average cost is here. The minimum of average cost is at this point where the marginal cost is cutting the average cost. So minimum of average cost is where the marginal cost is equal to the average cost. So minimum of average cost is here. So you can understand that this is the excess capacity that the firms have present, that the firms are not able to utilize in the long run. Even at the equilibrium point, the firm has the excess capacity. Okay, so excess capacity is present. So the equilibrium point is at this level. This is the equilibrium point. This is the long run equilibrium where the firm is earning normal profits as the average revenue is equal to average cost. Now the minimum of average cost is at this level of production. So this is the excess capacity that the firm has, that the firm is not utilizing. So remember that there is excess capacity that is present in the long run in the monopolistic competition with the normal profits. Okay, so E is the answer here. Now coming to the next question, which of the following statements is correct if the demand function is this? So demand function is 18 minus 3p. So remember that this is what? Intercept. This is intercept. Minus 3 is the slope that shows the downward sloping demand curve. So demand function shows the functional relationship between quantity supplied for a commodity and its various determinants. No, demand function shows the relationship between the demand and price and the changes in the demand with the changes in the price. The quantity demanded is directly related to price of the product. No, the demand is inversely, negative sign means that the demand is inversely related with price. When the price is increasing, demand will fall. So there is inverse relationship between demand and price. For the given demand function, the maximum price is 6. So let's say this is your demand. The price is 6. When the price is 6, then your demand is 0. Then your demand is 0. So yes, at the maximum price, the demand will be 0. So yes, the maximum price is 6. The maximum price is 6 and the demand curve has the slope minus 3. So yes, the slope of the demand curve is minus 3. The slope of the demand curve is minus 3. Okay, so that is the slope. The above equation shows a curvilinear demand function. So remember that this is the demand is equal to 18 minus 3p. So this is a linear demand function. This is a linear demand function, not curvilinear. So only the C statement is correct and that's why the C is the answer. Okay, so here you can see that in the demand equation, this minus b, it is the slope. It is the slope. The slope of the demand curve is minus b. That is in the demand function 18 minus 3b. This minus 3 is the slope that shows the downward sloping demand curve. Okay, so this is the idea. So the slope is minus 3 as well as the price is 6. That is the maximum price where the quantity will be 0. So now coming to the next question, that find the incorrect option. Now find the incorrect option regarding the price elasticity of commodities. So a commodity with many substitutes, if a commodity has many substitutes, then the commodity will have elastic demand. Yes. If there are many substitutes, so yes, the demand is elastic demand. The life-saving drugs have perfectly inelastic demand. That means that the demand does not change. For the life-saving drugs, the demand will not change even if the price is changing. So remember, like the insulin injections, they are the life-saving drugs. The chemotherapy or the like for cancer, if there are some drugs or medicines, so that means these are the life-saving drugs that have perfectly inelastic demand that does not change. So this is correct. Luxury goods have elastic demand. Salt has perfectly elastic demand. Does salt has perfectly elastic demand? No. Salt is a necessary good, and the necessary goods, they have the inelastic demand. They have the inelastic demand. So remember that the necessary goods, that is the goods that have less substitutes, they have less elastic demand or inelastic demand. Okay, so A is the incorrect option and that's why A is the answer. So remember that the luxury goods and the goods that have many substitutes, they have elastic demand. The necessary goods or the goods that have less substitutes, they have inelastic demand. And the life-saving drugs that is essential for your survival, that have perfectly inelastic demand that cannot change at all. So the salt is considered as a necessary good that has less substitutes. That's why it has inelastic demand, not perfectly elastic. Okay, so this is the idea. A was the answer. Coming to the next question, economic theory and good practice suggests that a government should run deficits during recession. So when there is a recession, the government should do more expenditure in comparison to the government receipts. Okay, government should spend more. When there is a recession, the government should spend more and should reduce its taxes or can reduce its taxes. So this is the idea. Now the theory which explains the process when the government try to align its expenditure with its revenue is termed as, so when the government is focusing on the government expenditure to be equal to the government revenue. So this kind of policy will be called the fiscal prudence. Okay. So fiscal prudence, the government follows a path of fiscal prudence when the government is focusing on not increasing its expenditure irrationally, and the fiscal prudence is when the government is focusing on reducing its expenditure so that it is not going beyond its receipts. The government focuses on reducing its expenditure so that it is not going beyond its receipts. Okay, so this is the idea that if the government is focusing on, if the government is trying to align its expenditure, trying to reduce its expenditure so that it is equal to its receipts, its revenue. So this kind of process or this kind of term is for the fiscal prudence. Okay, prudent, you can understand the word prudent. That means the government is focusing on the expenditure that should be aligned with the receipts of the government. Now, coming to the next question, that is, which of the following is not the reason for demand pull inflation? So demand pull inflation, it happens, the inflation, that is, the prices are rising in a sustained or continuous manner. There is the increase in general price level in the sustained or continuous manner because of the increase in demand. So if the population is increasing, demand will increase, the prices will start increasing. Deficit financing, that means the government is doing the deficit, government is spending more. So with more expenditure, there will be more demand, the prices will increase. Over expansion of money supply, more money supply means more. If we have more money in our hands, with more money supply, we have more money in our hands, we will demand more, prices can increase. So C is the answer here. Increase in administered price. If the government is directly increasing the price, so that means the prices are increasing, the inflation is happening, but without the increase in demand. Okay, so increase in administered price, this is not changing the demand, so it is not leading to the demand pull inflation. That is the idea. So demand pull inflation happens when the growing demand, demand pull inflation happens when there is growing demand, and with the increase in demand, the prices, the general price levels start to increase. So when demand of goods and services rises faster than the supply, so the price starts to increase. So this leads to demand pull inflation. Increase in administered price, if directly the government is increasing the price or directly if the price is increasing, so that is not because of the increase in demand. Okay. Now coming to the next question, which of the following is not correct with respect to monopoly? So a bilateral monopoly exists when a market has only one supplier and one buyer. Absolutely correct. A bilateral monopoly exists when there is a market that has only one buyer and one seller. Monopoly can lead to higher equilibrium price. So in the monopoly, there can be higher price and lower quantity, generating a larger welfare for the monopolist. So the monopoly, it can be at the equilibrium. So this is the average revenue or the demand, and this is the marginal revenue, and this is the marginal cost. Okay, so the monopoly can be at the equilibrium point where it is charging higher price and it is selling less of the quantity in comparison to under the perfect competition. Yes, it can be possible. So in the monopoly, because the monopolist has the power to decide the price, so yes, the monopolist can charge the higher price, and yes, the equilibrium can be at the higher price and lesser quantity, as this is the equilibrium point. So here the firm is profit maximizing. Okay, so the monopoly can charge the higher equilibrium price with the lower equilibrium quantity, generating a larger welfare. So this is also true. Monopolies have a downward sloping demand curve. Yes, monopolist has a downward sloping demand curve. There is a restriction of entry of new firms in the monopoly market. In the monopoly, a firm has got the monopoly, either the natural monopoly through the natural restrictions or through the legal barriers or through the large investment that is required in this particular segment. So there can be any restriction that can stop the new firms to enter the monopoly market. Okay, so yes, there are some barriers to entry. It can be legal barriers, natural barriers, or the barriers through the investment. Monopoly promotes perfect knowledge? No. In the monopoly market, the monopolist does not promote perfect knowledge. The monopolist has the most of the knowledge. Okay, so the monopolist, it does not promotes the perfect knowledge. So this is the idea that the perfect knowledge is the characteristic of the perfect competition, where the buyers, sellers, they all have the perfect knowledge. This is not a characteristic in the monopoly, as it is the wish of the monopolist, like how much information it wants to share. So monopolist can decide that how much information it wants to share in the market. Okay, so now coming to the last question. So this is the last question. See, the non-plan expenditure and the plan expenditure, these were the terms that were used previously. Now in the union budget, we use the terms like revenue expenditure, capital expenditure, revenue receipts, and the cap receipts. Okay, so we do not use these terms like the non-plan expenditure or plan expenditure and such. So, but this was a question that was asked in 2022, and now remember this, that the terms that revenue expenditure, capital expenditure, revenue receipts, cap receipts, they are used, okay, in the union budget. So non-plan expenditure is the expenditure that is obligatory in nature, that you can understand, like the salaries, subsidies, as well as the interest payments. They are the obligatory expenditure. The defense expenditure, it is obligatory expenditure. That is the government's obligation to do this kind of expenditure. So non-plan expenditure is usually the obligatory kind of expenditure. Now, which of the following is not a non-plan expenditure, that you have to tell. So defense expenditure is obligatory. Debt servicing, that is interest payments, they are also obligatory. Debt servicing, that is returning the debt or giving the interest payments. Direct interest payments, they are obligatory in nature. Subsidies are obligatory in nature. So these are the non-plan expenditure. But the expenditure on electricity generation, this is the investment that the government do to increase the capital asset, or for the investment purposes, the government do this kind of expenditure. Okay, so this is the plan expenditure that the government is doing to improve the electricity generation, or to do the electricity generation. So this is the idea. The non-plan expenditure, a major part of the non-plan expenditure is obligatory in nature, like the interest payments, pension, statutory transfers. These are the obligatory in nature expenditure that the government is doing, that comes under non-plan expenditure. Interest payments, prepayment premium, defense subsidies, grants, pension, police, assistance to states, economic services like postal deficit, all of these, like you can see that the non-plan expenditure, it is obligatory in nature, while the plan expenditure, it includes the investment that the government is doing to build the capital asset and such. So that comes under the plan expenditure. So this is it. Now you will move forward with the other component.
Hello everyone, let us now start with the subject costing. So this is your question number 1. Which of the following is a modern management accounting technique? So let us look at the options. Human resource accounting, statistical reports, responsibility accounting, break-even analysis, or none of the above. So I think you have got the answer as of now. So the option A, that is human resource accounting. Basically, this is an emerging concept, but always remember, this is not a modern management accounting technique. Okay, so this is emerging, so you can be confused here, but this is not a modern management accounting technique. So this is the incorrect option. Second is the statistical reports. This statistical report is basically a tool. Okay, here we can show the reports of the cost sheets and everything, but this is not the accounting technique. So this is also wrong. Now, responsibility accounting. Basically, this responsibility accounting is the correct answer, because this is a modern management accounting technique wherein what do? We divide the whole organization into different centers, okay, different responsibility centers like production and marketing and everything. And that
each center has its own costs, revenues and profit. So basically this is emerging, and this is also a core management technique. So yes, responsibility accounting is the correct answer here. You can be confused that human resource accounting क्यों इसका सही आंसर नहीं है, but that is emerging, but that is not a core management technique. तो इसका आंसर है C, responsibility accounting. Then the break even analysis again is a technique है ना, to see that at what point of time there will be no profit and no loss. So hence this is not a management accounting technique. This is also incorrect. Okay, so the option C is the correct one. Then question number 2, which of the following does not classify semi-variable cost into fixed and the variable cost? So basically we need to see that, okay, which of the method does not split the fixed cost and the variable cost. So the graphical method is what? When we show it through the graph, so in the graph basically we show that, okay, this is the fixed cost, this is the variable cost, and this is the total cost, right? So basically yes, in this case so we show and split the fixed cost and the variable cost, right? So graphical method is the incorrect one. Then the simultaneous equations. So if you remember in maths, what is simultaneous equation? When you solve two equations side by side. So in that case basically you can have two you can say variables a and b. So in this case fixed cost and variable cost can be two variables, and we can find out through the simultaneous equation. So hence this is also incorrect. Then the high and low method. So if you remember what is high and low method, here in this case we know the total cost, Hana? We know the total cost at different activity levels. Do you remember this? So in this case now, in high low method we can find out the variable cost per unit. How do you know? So we have different activity levels, we have different total cost. So we see at, you know, what is the highest activity level and what is the lowest activity level, and what is the difference between the two, and then we will put this in the formula. What is the formula of the variable cost per unit? Variable cost per unit has a formula: change in total cost upon change in activity. Change in activity will give you your variable cost per unit. So in this case also, in the high low method also, we can find out the variable cost. So of course from the total cost, if we have found out the variable cost, we can find out the variable fixed cost also. So hence this also splits. So this is also incorrect. Then the least square method. This is basically, you know, one of the regression method, or you can say statistical method. Here also we have two constants or two equations. Then also we can find out, fixed and variable cost. Here also we have equation somewhat looking like this: y is equal to a plus bx. Okay. So basically here also we can have a and b as fixed and variable cost. So we can find out through the least square method also. So this is also incorrect. Then the next method is the straight piece method. So if you can recall, you have done this in your financial accounting. What is straight piece method? This is in your depreciation also. So straight piece method is basically as a depreciation method. Here we don't classify between the fixed and variable cost, right, in the depreciation. So if you remember the financial accounting, then you will be able to recall and see that, okay, we don't divide anything. We don't see, okay, what is the fixed cost in that and what is the variable cost in that. We just find out the depreciation for that specific period. So straight piece method is here the correct answer, because it does not classify between the fixed and the variable cost. Okay, so option C is the option E is the correct answer here, straight piece method. Next, question number 3. Calculate the prime cost using the information given below. We have the direct material cost, labor cost, fixed overheads, variable overheads. So in the prime cost, we know that only the direct cost is included. The sum of the direct cost is the prime cost. So only the first two, that is the direct material cost and labor cost, will be included. Why not overheads? Because overheads are indirect cost. तो ये दोनों include नहीं होंगे. Only the first two, that is 1 lakh plus 68,000, that will be how much? 1 lakh 68,000. That is option B is the correct answer. Right, I hope this you have understood. Prime cost is the sum of all the direct costs and the overheads are not included, right? So 1 lakh plus 68,000, that gives 1 lakh 68,000. Question number 4. Calculate the break even from the following information. So you need to find out the break even point. Now you need to remember the formula. Now what is the formula? Quickly recall that in your heads, that what is the formula in units. If you say, So that is fixed cost upon the contribution per unit. Okay, and if you see break even point in rupees, or you can say in sales, then what is the formula? Fixed cost upon PV ratio. I hope you remember both of these, right? Very important. Now the sale is given to you rupees 30 per unit, trade discount is given to you 10%. Now this discount if you have given, so isko hum manenge, theek hai? So 30 minus selling price, the net selling price will be how much? 30 minus 10%, that is 30 minus 10% of 33 rupees, so that will be rupees 27. This rupees 27 is the net selling price. Then we have the direct material, direct labor, variable expenses. So variable expenses given 50% of direct labor. So 50% of direct labor is how much? Rupees 6. So can you calculate how much it will be? 50 divided by 100 into 6. So of course it will be 3 rupees. है ना? So I don't think so I need to calculate. है ना? चलो निकाल लोगे. So rupees 3 is the variable expenses. So we know in marginal costing का ही topic है. So in marginal costing we treat all the direct material, direct labor or the direct cost as variable only. So we will include this in the variable cost, right? Now we have the total variable cost as how much? 12 plus 6 plus 3 is how much? 12 plus 6 18, 18 plus 3 21. 21 rupees is the variable cost. Now do you remember the formula of contribution per unit? What it is? You need to remember the formulas, very very important, and the concepts. Contribution per unit is sales minus variable cost. How much is the selling price? 27 minus variable cost is how much? 21. So 27 minus 21, 6 rupees is the contribution per unit. Now we have the fixed cost given to us. We have the formula. Do we know the formula? Yes. So now just put this in the formula. Fixed cost is 60,000 divided by the contribution per unit 6 rupees. So divide by 6 rupees, you will get 10,000 as the break even point, right? So option C is the correct one, right? I hope this is very much clear. Sorry, what I have done? This is option B, 10,000. Okay, option B, 10,000, not 1 lakh. So option B, right? Question number 4, that is option B. Question number 5, which of the following is incorrect with reference to marginal costing? Okay, now I hope you know what is marginal costing. This is basically the additional cost incurred so as to produce one more unit, right? What is it? Marginal cost, basically whatever is the change in the total cost when I have to produce one more unit of any product. ठीक है? So I hope very much it is clear, है ना? Marginal cost is based on variable expenses. ये भी clear है? Okay, let us look at the options. So first option is, it is a method of costing like job costing and service costing. So basically what I have seen is the first option is only incorrect because this is not a method. It is not a method. It is a टेक्निक. ओके, सो ऑल दोज जिन्होंने पहले ही ऑप्शन में देख लिया है और पता कर लिया कि ये सही है, मतलब दिस इज द करेक्ट ऑप्शन बिकॉज दिस इज अ इनकरेक्ट स्टेटमेंट, तो हैट्स ऑफ गाइस. सो इट इज अ टेक्निक, इट इज नॉट अ मेथड. ओके, सो पहला ही स्टेटमेंट हमारा ऑप्शन ए इज द करेक्ट option, okay, because it is an incorrect statement related to marginal costing. Let us look at the other statements also. In marginal costing, marginal cost is the change in total cost when the quantity produced is incremented by 1. So when the quantity produced is changed by 1, or you can say it is increased by 1. So yes, whatever is the change in the total cost, that is the marginal cost. So this is the correct statement. Next, it considers expenses incurred at each production stage except for overhead pricing. Indirect expenses को नहीं लेते हैं ये, है ना? Only the direct cost and whatever is the manufacturing cost, that will be included. So overheads को नहीं लेते, indirect costing को नहीं लेते हैं. So yes, this is also a correct statement. Then contribution margin is computed as selling price per unit minus the variable cost per unit. This we have already done in the previous one also, na? Selling price minus variable cost. So this is true. So hence the answer is option A, because this is the incorrect statement. Okay. Next, which of the following is not a feature of cellular manufacturing system? So do you remember where is cellular manufacturing system, in which chapter we have studied this? In lean system. Okay, this is a part of lean production system, the cellular manufacturing, wherein what do we do? In U-shape format, है ना? In U-shape format we have small cells where what do we do? जो not similar type of activities that are clubbed together in one cell. Okay, in one cell, in one cell, in one cell, है ना? One activity here, one activity here, and one activity here. So in different cells, and then it is shown in a U-shaped format, right? So that is a cellular manufacturing production system. Do you remember that? So basically here we have small cells. So what, let us see which is not a feature of cellular manufacturing system. First, it brings scattered processes together to form short focused parts in concentrated physical space. So yes, in concentrated physical space. Now let us do the question number 7. A company produced 60,000 units in the accounting period. It sold 50,000 units with 10,000 still in inventory. So 60,000 is the production, 50,000 is the units sold, and 10,000 is the closing inventory. Okay. Now it sold each unit for rupees 100. Okay, the selling price is 100 rupees. Each unit cost rupees 25 in direct material, 20 in direct labor. Manufacturing overhead was 10 rupees plus 5 in variable administrative cost. Then the fixed manufacturing overhead is 3 lakh. The fixed manufacturing overhead. Fixed administrative cost is 2 lakh. If the valuation of inventory is done by absorption costing method, then find out the value of the inventory. So basically you have to find out the value of the closing inventory, that is the 10,000 units. Okay. So first of all, you have to see in the absorption costing method what all expenses are included. So only those expenses which are relating to the manufacturing department, that are included. Okay, if it is based on administrative selling department, then wo include nahi honge. So in the absorption costing, we will include which expenses. Let us see the expense first of the manufacturing. That is 25 in the direct material, 25 rupees plus direct labor 20 rupees. So this will also be included. Manufacturing overhead was 10 rupees. That is 10 rupees will also be included, plus 5 in the variable administrative cost. So will this be included? No. Administrative cost include nahi hogi. Then the fixed manufacturing overhead was 3 lakh. This is given in sum. So can I find out the fixed cost per unit? Can I do that? So 3 lakh divided by the number of units it has produced. Okay, the number of units, uske basis pe fixed cost niklegi na. So 60,000 units. Why we have taken the number of units produced? Because fixed cost is basically incurred on the number of units I have produced, है ना? तभी फिक्स कॉस्ट इनकर हुई है क्योंकि हमने प्रोडक्शन करी है. सो नंबर ऑफ यूनिट्स दैट यू हैव प्रोड्यूस्ड उससे डिवाइड होगा टू कैलकुलेट द फिक्स कॉस्ट पर यूनिट. सो 3 lakh डिवाइडेड बाय 60,000, दैट इज 5 rupees 5. So this will also be included. So when you calculate this will be how much? 30 plus 20, 50, and 55, 60. 60 is the total manufacturing expenses according to the absorption costing method. So how will you calculate? The closing inventory is how much? 10,000 into 60 rupees. So that means 6 lakh. 6 lakh is the correct answer. Option number A. Right? Option number A. Question number 8. Which of the following is a notional cost? Notional cost means imputed cost. है ना? Imputed cost, or basically it means when there is no actual cash outflow or inflow. So basically when there is no cash outflow, then it is notional or imputed cost. So absorption costing. So in absorption costing abhi humne kiya hai. So yes, we calculate the manufacturing expenses and then all those expenses are actually incurred. So yes, it is not a notional cost. So this is incorrect. Then historical costing. This is a past cost but actual cost, right? So this is also not included. Standard costing. This is basically a planned cost. कि इतना कॉस्ट होना चाहिए हमारे प्रोडक्ट का, बट इज इट एक्चुअल? Is it the actual cost? No, it is a planned cost. So this is basically a notional cost. So standard costing is the correct answer, that it is a notional cost. Then lean costing. Lean costing is basically when we try to reduce the waste and try to then find out the manufacturing expenses by reducing the waste. So yes, lean costing bhi aapka notional cost nahi hoga. So the answer is C, standard costing. Okay. Then question number 9, again a numerical based question. Calculate the value of stock, closing stock using simple price moving average method. On 1st December it purchased 100 units at the rate 20 rupees, and 2nd September 200 units purchased kiya at the rate 22. So when I have to find out, in the price moving average method, so first of all I have to average this. So that will be 20 plus 22 divided by 2. I have to average. So 20 plus 22, 42, 42 divided by 2, that is 21 rupees. That is the average price. Now on 5th December, I issued 250 units to department X. I have to find out the value of closing stock. So first of all, I have to issue 250 units. So the total number of units is how much? 300. Total number of units is 300. Out of that, I have issued 250. Right? So what is the closing stock? 50 units. That is the closing stock. So I have to value this 50 units. So 50 units into the average price. What is the average price? 21. 50 into 21, that is 1050. Correct? So the option A is the correct option. Right? I hope this is very much clear.
So this is the end of this particular video, my friends. I hope you enjoyed all the different discussions which we have done on the previous year questions. Thank you for watching the video, and I would like to end this particular video by telling you that EduTap has a very good course if you want to practice multiple MCQs. You can get that test series also for specifically for phase 2, which will help you to practice on multiple different concepts. And if you are done with practicing, if you have completed all the MCQs of phase 2, then definitely you can go towards our exclusive 4000 MCQ course, which we have specifically launched for SEBI Grade A students. So there is no reason that you should practice less MCQs. The more MCQs you practice, the better it is. You can definitely visit our website edutap.in, wherein you can see that what are these courses are all about. But as I told you, these courses are these courses are made rather to give you a platform to practice and practice. And those who are practicing for the year 2026, or those who are practicing for next year, then definitely you can take a look towards our gold course and silver course, because these courses will include your recorded classes, your concept notes, summary sheet, multiple MCQs. Right? So it will definitely take a longer time to complete the gold and silver one. So if you want to practice for the next year to come, then definitely gold and silver courses are very good. In gold course, you will get entire material for phase 1, for phase 2, and for interview also. In silver course, you will only get the material of phase 2 plus interview. Right? So that's it. Have a great day ahead, and I wish you all the very best.